Baby, do you like this beat?
Good morning.
Good morning, my dear friends, and welcome in to yet another rousing rendition of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. On the other side of the metaphorical glass, the man in charge of this and every show you've ever heard and enjoyed, the great one, Lonzo, is here as well. What up, Zoe? How dost thou do?
I feel like you this morning. It's weird. I'm like behind on everything, and just just set down on. I don't like this feeling. I mean, maybe you like it because it gets you ready to go.
Yeah, baby, we live on the edge.
I like sitting here and prepared and ready to. Yeah, so I just got things together like 20 seconds before we went.
My life's a buzzer beater.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I like living on the edge. I like the adrenaline. I work better under pressure. Okay. I just do. So ordinarily you and I, we start the show by just kind of bantering back and forth with great wit and humor. But I'd like to start the show off a little differently today. Okay. Because people who are up with us and listening to the early portion of the show, these are people with a morning routine. These are people who are up because, I got the shoes on and I'm jogging by X o'clock, right? I got
you
the
don't
coffee
do that today.
poured.
It's raining pretty good.
Hey, listen, people who are getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go jog, they don't give a damn. They're going jogging, rain or shine, all right? I get it, and I get it, and I get it, and I respect it for sure. And yes, I do have the glasses today to answer your question, Stephen. I just forgot to bring them in here with me. Thank you for reminding me. I'll get them at the break. People who are up this early traditionally have some sort of regiment that they go through, a routine that they go through. And as folks like Lonzo will tell you, for many of them, part of that routine involves a morning activity that confines you for some period of time to one particular room of the home. You know what I mean.
A visit to the throne room.
That's the one.
What you need to do. I mean, it's good to be, as the old folks say, regular.
Some people start their day off. They just, that's part of the routine. And I will even.
That's my routine. Just in case you wanted to know that I'm just like you. I know you may not think that that's it, but I am.
Even the almighty great one, Lonzo, begins his day with a trip to the coronation room to sit atop the porcelain throne. And it for many, and I'll even go one step further. I'm envious of you. I'm jealous of you. I wish that my body would operate on that schedule where I know, hey, 5:45, it's time to pop a squat. It's time. Checking in. Beep, beep, beep. Let's go. But that's not how it works for me. For me, it's just various and random points throughout my day. It's like, oh, this is happening right now. Well, just please know when I tell you that NFL players and coaches, college players and coaches, they're people too. They're people too. They got the same struggle. They got the same life that we do. Yeah, they make a lot of money to play a children's game, but at the end of the day, they're people too. One of those people, and somebody that, as I have told you already, Darren Rizzi, the interim head coach of our New Orleans Saints. This past Sunday, he was at the crib, Saints hosting the Atlanta Falcons. And he went to the press conference for the very first time as a head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And he started off his press conference, great one, this way.
No, man, I'm a pretty open guy, so this is how my day started. I get down here to the stadium, get down here to Superdome. I go in the head coach's locker room, which, I've never used before, right? So here I am early in the morning. I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended. And so listen, I'm like, okay, this is not really a great start to the day. Here we go. And so, I'm not really feeling like a head coach of an NFL team right now. So So I'm like, really? This is really how we're going to start my day? So, but listen, there was moments during the game. I'm so wrapped up in my routine. There was moments today where like I'm almost forgetting. I'm just going through my routine, and I'm kind of forgetting that I'm the head coach a couple times. All true.
So Darren Rizzi says, I start my day, my very first day, game day, as an NFL head coach. And I get to the Superdome, and I go to the head coach's office, go to the head coach's locker room, which I've never used before, and I started my day by clogging up the crapper. And I said, it's going to be a crappy day. I got to tell you right now, name that man the full-time head coach right now. Right now. Because my man, now he could have gone to the podium for a post-game presser. He's 1-0 as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He could have gone to the pressers, though, and he could have started his campaign to keep that job. He could have started his campaign to be named the full-time and permanent head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He could have got up there and said, look at this. I'm 1-0. I just knocked off the divisional rivals. The boys played hard. We had a great game plan, and I oversaw all of that. Hey, Gail Benson, if you're listening, which I know you are, you're the owner of this team. You're clocked in. You're a wonderful owner, Gail. You're doing a great job. If you're paying, that's what he's saying, not me. If you're paying attention, I'd like to point out that, again, I'm 1-0. I just defended this house, something that Dennis Allen did one time back in week 1 and not since. I mean, I'm your guy. And that's not what he did. Instead, what he did was he got to the mic and he goes, I got here this morning. I used my new office for the very first time. I went through my, if you'll pardon the expression, morning movement. And I clogged the crapper. And then I said, it's going to be a crappy day. Not only did my man open it with that story, open it with the humility to share that so we could all have a chee-hee-hee chuckle. But then, Lonzo, he dropped an uncle joke right there in the middle of it.
Dropped it.
He dropped an uncle. The number 2 thing he said at the podium was to drop an uncle joke about clogging the crapper on day 1.
Okay, what's the difference between an uncle joke and a dad joke? It's not your dad?
So a dad joke is ordinarily centered around wordplay, and it's usually clean. It's something that a father would say in front of an impressionable son to get a ha-ha chuckle out of him, but not introduce any words or concept that maybe he doesn't want the kid to repeat. An uncle joke is typically a joke that involves the same structure, right? One-liner, wordplay, ha-ha, funny, but it's also something that you don't really care if the kid takes away because if he says it at school, you don't get in trouble for it, right? So an uncle joke is like a dirty version of a dad joke.
There is a difference, though, for him in the assistant coach's bathroom. He would have had to fix it. In the head coach's bathroom, somebody else has to come and fix it.
I mean, let's start with this. If you clog the crapper, fix it. All right. I don't care if you're the damn president of the United States. If you clog the crapper, fix it yourself. You shouldn't. Especially as a guy, there should never be a spot where you're like, hey, Bill, I had an issue down here. Can you come plunge my poop, please? Unless
it becomes a situation where the plunger is not effective and you need an actual plumber.
If you missed it a couple of weeks ago, we played and addressed a moment that took place on the Pat McAfee show between Pat, his production crew, and JJ Watt, where a guy on Twitter, they do a questions from McAfee Nation or whatever he calls his people. And a guy apparently for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, every week, wrote into the show and asked the question, if you are at a party, I made that one. Hell yeah. That was a shot. No angle. If you're at a party and you clog the crapper and there is not a plunger in the restroom, what's the play? And the boys had like a wide range of answers. One of them was like, man, if they didn't provide a plunger, then they can't expect you to plunge. You go find the owner of the home and you say, hey, dude, look, it's embarrassing, but I clogged the pooper and there's no plunger in there. What do you want to do? And you involve them. Is it embarrassing? Yeah, but they didn't provide a plunger. It's kind of the deal, right? You had another one. I think, in fact, it wasn't another one. It was J.J. Watt, who said if you clog the crapper at a party, you're at a buddy's house and you clog it, and there's no other option, JJ said you reach down in there, you suck up your pride, you grab that turd with the hand, and you break it up yourself. And then you go wash your hand, you leave that bathroom, and you never tell that story to anyone ever after that moment. Now that's extreme. I think we all acknowledge that's extreme. And then you had the boy, I don't remember which one it was, but you had the fella in the background who said, I'll tell you what I do. I don't come out of the bathroom. I DoorDash a plunger. I DoorDash a plunger. I have a DoorDash driver bring a plunger to the house. I don't come out of the bathroom until that person is there. And then, and only then, do I leave the bathroom, shut the door, sprint to the front door, grab the plunger from the DoorDash driver, sprint back to the bathroom, do the plunging, leave the plunger there. But I do so in a way that is obvious that you have a plunger now, you irresponsible child of a human being. Okay? There's a variety of answers.
By the way, new homeowners don't necessarily think about the fact that they need a plunger, especially if you're that kid who just left home and you think you got everything until you find out you don't. I'm not going to be mad at that guy. He just moved into his apartment. He didn't know that he needed that.
See, you're, and I respect it. You're creating further scenarios within the hypothetical in order to defend someone who's not real. Who's not real. What I'm saying is, if you don't have a plunger, that's irresponsible. It may be out of ignorance. It may be out of naivete, but it is irresponsible.
I don't think you can be irresponsible if you're ignorant.
You absolutely can.
No, you can't, because you didn't know that you were supposed to do something. You're only irresponsible if you know something. And
there is no one over the age of 10 who doesn't know the function and importance of a plunger.
Absolutely, there are a ton of kids out there who don't know.
Then they have failures of parents.
Okay, that's not for me or you to decide.
If you have made it to 10, 11, 12 years old and you have never been taught a plunger, I'm not talking how to reinstall a commode. I'm not talking about doing the plumbing and the pipes inside of the home. I'm saying if you've made it to 10, 11, 12 and you don't know what a plunger is, your responsible guardian has failed. That is basic life stuff, man. Basic life stuff. Hey, if you flush and the water starts to come up when the water's supposed to go down, you use this thing. You take the pointy end, you put it in the hole, and you push real hard.
No, you don't put the pointy end, and you hold on to it's
not the stick.
Yeah, you said the pointy end.
Yeah, okay. My plunger is the kind that has the bell with the pointy thing, the nozzle on the end of it.
Okay, well, again, and I guess people who don't have that are also irresponsible.
You put the round end over the hole, and you push like your life depends on it. If you're 13 years old, you know what a plunger is.
I'm also curious, is this just a matter of the plumbing at wherever the Saints offices are, or is my dude eating? I mean, the
Superdome's been there since like the 70s.
Yeah, so that could be part of it, or my dude is eating some stuff that's just not. I mean,
big fiber guy, big fiber guy. You got it. Yeah. Have you seen Darren Rizzi? I have, and I've heard how he talks. Darren Rizzi's an old linebacker.
Yes.
And first off, his last name's Rizzi. There's only one position.
He sounds like he's that star of one of those cop shows that always sounds like this.
Which is a linebacker thing, right? Yeah. If your last name is Rizzi, you're playing one of two positions, quarterback or middle linebacker. That's it. There ain't no running back's name Rizzi. If your last name is the Riz, you're either a linebacker or you're a quarterback.
Or a professional wrestler.
Or all of the above.
Which like you can be.
Kevin Green.
Yes.
So this man This man didn't just show up for day one on the job. Day one. Could you imagine, kid? Could you imagine what the perspective would have been? Great one. If I got hired here at the legendary Fan Upstate, showed up on day one for at the time my noon job, and then rolled up in here and was like, "Hey guys,
worst hypothetical you've ever put out there, because you've been in that restroom many times."
That's true. Okay, that's fair.
That's
fair.
I mean, come on, dude.
Usually I get upset with Zoe killing off my hypotheticals, but this one I'll take.
Yeah,
they'd probably be like, not the worst thing happening in there.
No, they'd be welcome.
Yeah, not the worst thing.
Now we know you fit.
This man showed up on day number one of auditioning for a head coaching job. Look, if this guy goes out there and he won't, but if this guy goes out there and he runs the table as the head coach, as the interim head coach, there's absolutely a very good chance he keeps that job. Because Ben Johnson, who is probably the only guy out there that I go, that's my man. It's either Ben Johnson, the passing game coordinator, Clint Kubiak, but let's keep it a buck. The passing game fell the hell off, and I do blame Dennis Allen, but if Clint Kubiak can't work under Dennis Allen and figure it out, then I don't know if I can trust him. So it's day number one of this man auditioning to become an NFL head coach. And activity number one is to roll into the clubhouse, to roll into the pooper in his head coach's office and clog that SOB up on day number one. And then when he goes to the podium after a win, an opportunity to begin his campaign to remain the HC of the NOLA Saints, he just opens with that. This isn't a story that he waited and he's 10, 15 minutes into his post-game dub presser, and some media member goes, "Hey, coach, first day is the HC. You got the dub. Can you walk us through your day? Can you set us up for how you got here?" And he goes, "Okay, well, now that you asked, funny story. Now that you've asked, here's how my day started off. It started off with a bang. You know, I wrote," and then you tell the story, and everybody goes, "Ta-ha, tee-hee, funny, chuckle, lols. That's great. But you've already taught football." No. This man got to the podium, grabbed the mic, and went, "I clogged the pooper. Day number one, minute number one, first day, first hour on the job. My very first act as the head coach of these New Orleans Saints was to roll up here." The point that I'm making here is we're all people. We're all people. It happens to everybody. This man auditioning for a job nuked the crapper and then just had to deal with it. Guy's got the biggest opportunity of his entire life laid out in front of him. And that's what a way to start the day. What a way. And then makes an uncle joke about it. Spectacular. All right. We got a lot we got to get into. College football playoff rankings came out earlier this week. We got into them a little bit yesterday. Let's talk about the teams that are hanging out on the bubble today, shall we? Let's talk about the teams that are right there in the mix, but have some work left to do. We'll get into that. Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News is going to join us at 8 o'clock. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation Podcast at 8:40. Hatin Ass Mario from the BetQL Network at 9 o'clock. And Fight Club with Lonzo at 9:20. That's all on a Thursday on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I didn't forget my glasses. They're hanging on my shirt. The whole time I was saying, "Oh, I forgot them in the office," I'm like fiddling with them. Never clicked in my brain. I'm a moron.
Did you see the LA Knight thing?
What a t-shirt cannon, huh?
Okay, because I just
what
sent
a t-shirt tank.
Yeah, that's
HOTTOGO.
I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified. Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done a share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics. I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call. Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue. You take the fluid out of you concentrate it and put it in an area where it couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing. Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments. What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself? Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. If you've got questions, O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? Well, we've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional.
And I was 5 minutes later than what I normally am here, and it just threw off my routine because I'd be a little bit extra careful in the rain because my back end gets light. Then Lonzo's spinning.
That's what happened to Rizzy too.
Yeah.
Oh, your car.
Yeah, and I want to, yeah. And people were not exactly being careful this morning, so it was an interesting drive in.
But I knew one of you was the scent of Game Fairies. Try Game Fairies with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive.
I just dropped something in your Twitter box.
It's got to go to parts unknown and then come back to me before I get it.
Oh yeah, true. It's got to go up to the aliens.
The aliens that we now know exist. Yes. Yeah, I'd already seen that.
That's so good.
Yeah, it is. We'll see if it's accurate.
Good morning, Mike. Welcome in, big fella. Good to have you, brother. And off we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Yo.
I do have a question, and Joe brought this up too. But I have a different angle to this. How did Rob Brown handle being surrounded by children yesterday? That'd be a nightmare for you.
No, it was not. I loved it. So real quick. Yesterday, there was a 10:30 a.m. puck drop for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. And I serve as the in-arena host for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. So when the bits are at the house, I go in and I hype up the crowd, right? I go in, I grab a mic, I yell, I scream, I get everybody super excited about hockey. Yesterday, they did a 10:30 a.m. puck drop, and they did school day with the bits. So basically, there was about 4,000, not an exaggeration. It was like 3,600, something like that. There was like 4,000 kids in the Greenville Swamp Rabbits Arena, in the Bon Secours Wellness Arena yesterday. And I mean this when I tell you, it was the loudest that stadium's ever been for a hockey game. The loudest it's ever been. When we started the game, the first thing that I do is I go down onto the ice. And at the beginning of the game, we have a kid come down, and we let that kid, much like you say, play ball at a baseball game, we have that kid say, we count to three, and we have that kid yell, let's play hockey. And we get everybody in the arena to yell. Well, these kids were buzzing before the game started. And so I said, hey, instead of having one kid come down, I said, you guys all are going to do this with me. So when I count to three, I want you guys to scream, let's play hockey. And then I want everybody to just lose their mind. All right. I want you to yell and scream and get up out of the seats. And I want you to make as much noise as you can make until the puck hits the ice and we start the game. And so I counted 1, 2, 3. And this stadium lost its bleeping mind. I mean it when I tell you. these 3,600-ish kids made more noise, great one, I'm not exaggerating, than when, like, Seth freaking Rollins has come out at a WWE show.
So a lot of treble, though, probably.
Oh, God, it was shrill, okay? It was good. It was good. They were loud, but it was shrill. I'll put it this way. Usually when I do this and I say, hey, all right, this is Sam. Sam's our Let's Play Hockey kid. On the count of 3, Sam and everybody in here, we're all going to yell, let's play hockey and make some noise. And I go 1, 2, 3, and I put the mic in front of Sam's face, and Sam yells, and all the people yell, let's play hockey. And then they yell. And usually it's the arena's full of grown-ups, man. The arena's full of grown-ups who are super duper hype about what's about to happen. So I was like, all right, you yell. And the place goes, and it just sounds like an arena, right? Sounds like an arena. Good arena, good crowd, but it just sounds like an arena. Yesterday, I counted to 3. I told these kids lose their mind, and I've never had to do this before, Zoe. I wear an earpiece, like an FBI earpiece, loops up the back, goes over the ear, and it lets me talk to, I got a microphone, and it lets me talk to the young lady who runs the show, our director, basically, our producer director, who sits up in a bird's nest up above the stadium. She goes, all right, next we're going to do this. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. And we do the thing. And then when I'm talking, she counts me down. All right, Rob, be out in 5, 4, 3. And I get out and yada, yada, yada. So I have an earpiece in that lets me talk to her, but these earpieces are designed so that you can hear the audio from your transmitter, but you can also still hear, right? You can still hear what's going on around you. It's the first time I've ever had to do this. I had to take that thing out and plug my ears as I walked off the ice because it was loud, and it was incredible. It was impressively loud. Even Kyle Mountain, the head coach, because between the second and third intermission, I go out on the ice and I do an intermission report with the coach. So I basically do like a 2-question live interview on the ice that they put up on the board. They put it out over the television broadcast. And so I go out there and I go, all right, coach, real chippy. You guys are killing the power play today or having issues with the PK kill. How do you fix it? Whatever. I walked out there and I'm like, all right, coach, chippy game today. Savannah trying to throw you off your game a little bit. And he just goes, it's loud in here, dude. Like, it's loud in here. And it was an electric environment from these kids. But dog, it was like having somebody play a flute right in your ear hole, man. It was like somebody grabbed the radio, turned the bass to 0 and the treble to 11, and then just drilled it into your ear. And I don't care, for the record. It was great because to have those kids that energized, and we had yesterday Mark Benetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, on, and we talked about this. I said, look, I love this for 2 reasons. I love it, first off, because this is how you get kids into hockey. This is how you grow this sport in the community. And I love hockey. I want to talk more hockey on the show, but as I also pointed out on the show yesterday, at the end of the day, I'm only allowed to get into what you guys react and respond to. And until I can get you guys to react and respond to hockey in a way that is noticeable to the folks upstairs, I can only kind of wedge a hockey story in every now and then. I can't really dial in on it, right? We basically get to talk hockey during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that's kind of the run. I would love to be able to talk about the fact that the Carolina Hurricanes went on an 8-game win streak, but have dropped 2 out of the last 3. I would love to talk about the fact that the Canes had 50 shots on goal last night and scored 1. That can't happen. You've got to be more efficient than that, right? I'd love to get into that, but you guys don't respond to hockey. So the way that you grow a game, whether it's hockey or soccer or whatever else, the way that you grow a game is you directly expose people to it. I didn't grow up with hockey. I grew up on a beach in Florida. The only ice I had was crushed and in a margarita. All right, I was a kid. You get the point you get the joke I'm making here. I didn't have hockey growing up. And then I think my freshman year, maybe second year of high school, a buddy I went to school with, his name was Bobby. Remember him to this day. He was from Michigan? Somewhere up north. Well, Pensacola had just started a team called the Pensacola. They were at the time the Ice Pilots. Now they're the Ice Flyers. And Pensacola just started a team very similar to the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. And he came up to me one day and he's like, hey, do you want to go to a hockey game? I'm I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know anything about hockey. Never been around hockey. It's like, come with me. My dad's taking us. We'll go. Nothing else. Just something to do. I was like, all right, word. We went to a hockey game. Y'all, period and a half in, I was transfixed. Love this. And now it's one of my favorite games. I love watching hockey. So I believe, I've said this on the show before, I believe hockey is the best sport to go to live. Really. Not on TV. I understand people who can't get into it on TV. And I've said for a lot of years, hockey needs to really kind of work on its television presentation because it's not ideal. But in person, I don't think there's a sport that wins people over faster than hockey if you can get them to a game. So yesterday, you bring 3,500 kids. I promise you, there was a couple hundred of them that walked out of there going, that was a blast. That was fun. That was great. So number one, I think it's a fantastic way to expose the game of hockey to an audience. Because now you'd like to think a couple hundred out of those 3,500 kids are going to go home and tell mom and dad, I had so much fun at the hockey game. I want to go back. Can you take me to hockey games? And bang, you've grown your audience. But the other aspect of this, and this is why I've said, in fact, I got a clip coming up later today that I want to play that goes in this regard. This is the other reason that I am such a big believer in, proponent of, and advocate for youth sports. Because sports, whether you're watching or playing, youth sports, to me, is the most important thing outside of a classroom that a kid can have in their life, right? I think the demand for a great education is one thing. And again, it's not about learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's not the ability to go sit in AP history class and to recite the order of the battles of the American Revolution. It's more about learning the principles that led to it. It's more about learning the foundation that was laid to get us to the set of beliefs that led to people being willing to lay down their lives to start a new country, right? And how those things apply, and all the lessons that we have learned through the dark periods of this country's history to be able to get us to the next level. That's an important aspect of it. As my dad used to tell me all the time, it is about learning how to learn. It's not about what you're learning. It's about learning how to learn. It's the ability to grab a book and to dive in and to figure out the process that it takes to take that information, to absorb it, and then to be able to think critically about the world around you to make the right decisions. I think getting a good education and providing kids with a good, solid education is important. But I believe the next most important thing in the world is youth sports. And it doesn't have to be the traditional ones. It doesn't have to just be basketball, football, soccer. It can be hockey. It can be gymnastics. It can be whatever. It can be chess. It can be debate club, whatever. Competition. Because I believe that competition teaches you life lessons that you can't learn in a classroom. I believe that youth sports teaches you about sportsmanship. And it teaches you about how to learn, how to win with grace and how to lose with dignity. I believe it teaches you how to be a good teammate. I believe it teaches you how to demand excellence out of yourself, to hold yourself accountable. I believe it learns you how to hold other people accountable and do so in a positive way, right? Not just walk up and go, hey, you big dumb idiot, you screwed up, but to be able to say, hey, man, listen, you came up a little short here, but I believe that you can do this. And here's my thoughts on how we get better at that. And I believe it teaches you, on top of all of those things, I believe that it teaches you how to take all of that, to demand excellence out of yourself, how to perform under pressure, and to bring the best out of you. And if you can take that lesson from being on a basketball team or a debate team or a gymnastics team or a cheerleading squad or a football team, then you can apply that to everything else you do the rest of your life that involves interacting with other people. You can take that when you get your first job and you're placed on a team under a manager. Well, now you've learned how to be coached, how to take the feedback you get from somebody in a position that says, we need this, this, and this from you, and go, okay, I can take this and I can apply it and make these changes to be better, and then work within this team, etc. Youth sports is massively important. So that's why I didn't care about the fact that these kids blew my damn eardrums out yesterday. I still loved every second of it because those kids walked away in love with a new sport that they will grow in and have new experiences out of. And I think that's fantastic. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. The having a day off, Jacob, ordinarily throws my entire life into chaos for like a few days. I don't know why. We had Monday off, and I have not recovered. I thought today was Wednesday, and it's already been Wednesday, right? At least you're a day ahead.
Spartans.
I forgot about Tank Top Thursday until I was walking in the building because I thought it was Wednesday.
This would have been the day to do it. I don't know why you're wearing a hoodie because I'm sweating over here, although you may not be, but.
No, I'm actually okay right now. Also, dig the new hoodie. Just got these made, right? I don't know if you can see it with the hood down. I love this.
Okay, why would you have that made?
So there's a group of buddies. It's like 4 of us that over the past 2, 3, 4 years have all kind of bonded over the fact that all of our fathers have passed away and did so when we were young. My buddy Andrew lost his dad when he was 20. Keegan lost his dad when he was 23, 24. I lost my dad when I was 25. And we've all kind of bonded over that little fact. And so as a joke, a handful of years ago, we said we were the Dead Dad Club because we also deal with tragedy via dark humor. And so we all started what we kind of as a joke called the Dead Dad Club. And then for a very long time, we were making jokes about, we should start making T-shirts and we should start just because it makes other people uncomfortable. And that's fun for us. Well, the other day we talked about it, or Andrew was talking about it, getting a new tattoo. And there were like 5 or 6 guys in the tattoo shop that were like, that's great. I'm in that club. If you guys make merch, I want it. So we were like, screw it. Let's make some merch. Let's do it. And so we did. And this is piece number 1. I'm not going to give any more of our crazy ideas away because we are going to start selling them.
And plus, you can't really talk about it on the air because that will get you in trouble.
I think I can. As long as I'm not actively selling it on the air.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You're on the edge of actively selling. As long as you don't actively
No,
sell.
I will never promote it as a product I sell, but I can talk about it.
Oh, yeah, well.
I can say, look at this shirt. Isn't this shirt incredible? Because it is.
By the way, I like it. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I've just.
I'll tell you during the next time we go off the stream, there's another angle to it that we came up with last night that I think you'll. Well, I don't know if you'll find it humorous or not, but I did. That's my favorite thing about this is we are tiptoeing right up to the line of offensive, and it's our favorite thing to do.
Yeah, we know I never go there.
I very, very much love it when we have a conversation on the show and I have a take and we get off the air and I go somewhere else because I listen to, we've talked about this, I listen to radio stations and podcasts from around the sports tacosphere. just to kind of hear what the conversations are, what the ideas are. Maybe you hear something that I go, oh, I didn't think about that angle, or maybe I didn't hear about this story, or I didn't have that thought, or what a response from that caller, or what an incredible interview. I want to grab some sound for that, or whatever. I think it's important for people in this industry to be connected in, just like you guys in the Armada want to stay connected to this industry, right? Well, yesterday, as I was perusing the social media, I came across a couple of guys, and you may have heard of these guys, Lonzo. Jason and Travis Kelce. You heard of these cats?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, couple of young dudes got a podcast. One I believe is a former NFL player. The other I believe is still active.
I could have swore one of them, is a vandal, but
I believe that is correct. Also a wonderful family man who sticks up for his brother. I think it's great. Anyway, these two gentlemen, Travis and Jason Kelce, they do a podcast together called the New Heights Podcast. It's a couple of bros who sit around and they talk about everything. And yesterday, they dropped on a social media, on the New Heights Podcast social media pages, highlights from a discussion that they had that Lonzo may sound familiar.
Biggest takeaways from the game, Jerry Jones is still at war with the sun.
Yeah, there was a moment in the game, CeeDee Lamb running across the end zone had a chance to have a wide open touchdown and could not see the ball.
I'm not going to lie. Playing in that stadium, I've had that problem before. That glare coming through that end zone in the afternoon is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
You'd think they put up like shades or something, but alas.
Look at that, dude. Why the is it that bright?
Jerry Jones was asked about the possibility putting up curtains to block out the sun at AT&T Stadium. He said, well, let's tear the damn stadium down and build another one. Are you kidding me? I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. Someone asked me about the sun. What about the sun? Where's the moon?
What the is Jerry talking about?
The world knows where the sun is. Yeah, and so do architects and people that build stadiums. And usually you try to avoid the fact that the sun might be directly in your receiver's eyes. I guess in Jerry's defense, you would think the Cowboys would know this is an issue and they could use it to their advantage. But I don't know.
Yeah. Where's the moon?
Where's the moon? The old moon got in the way, Coach. Said no one ever.
We need to institute a minimum bleep number. So if it gets to this number, then the cut, you just don't use it anymore.
No, I'm using it. I don't care.
I mean, because they've gotten worse, by the way. They cleaned it up for a while, and then they go through a trend, and then they get a talking to, and then they go back to it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think two things. Number one,
the effort it took for you to go through and bleep all that.
Oh, it took me a minute.
I don't know that it was worth it.
Took me a minute, and it absolutely was worth it. All right, so I'll start with this. Number one, and you don't have to agree with it. McAfee changed the game in that regard. McAfee changed the game in that regard. I got Nick Saban dropping multiple a week live on game day. I got Rex Ryan on a studio. If there's one place that you thought was safe, it's the studio talking head show. That's the one place that you got to have this old, we only use clean, squeaky language in here. And I got Rex Ryan dropping a bull live on air.
I know you always get mad about this, but I'm just going to say, if the game has changed, go for it.
Again, the day that man down the hall that's in charge of me and signs my paycheck comes down here and says, Rob, I don't care if you say F on the radio, you're not getting fired. I'll do it. I don't care. The government says I'm not allowed to do it. Okay?
Why is the government allowing
because that's a podcast.
Podcasts are not regulated. So that's
correct.
I get that.
And I will tell you this. When I'm not doing one now because there's a whole lot of factors. It is in the talks for me to do a nighttime podcast, maybe once or twice a week, where I will go on air for like an hour, maybe twice a week from the house and do an uncensored, unscripted podcast. And I will go ahead and tell you, if I get the thumbs up for that down the line, yeah, that's how it's going to sound. Because as McAfee's disclaimer works, that's how adults in the real world talk. So for me, For me, I don't really care. Whatever. And my thought is, what's the difference between 1 bleep and 6? It's a bleep. Like, what's the difference? If you hear one and you go, that's enough, then are you going to tune out because you heard a second one?
Here's the thing for me, and probably for others. After it reaches a certain amount, it starts taking away from the content that you're trying to listen to. So all you're waiting for the next beep, and you're not actually listening to. And in my case, I have to listen because I don't know if you missed one. So I have to listen because you've missed them on occasion.
Yeah, but that's well, let's talk about it from the standpoint of the public, because that's your job. That's you doing your job. My job is to make sure I'm bleeping those things out. So I got to pay attention to it too. But for me, what matters here is the content of this take. And the content's great. And I would also like to point out
the content is not great because who cares about the Sun in Dallas? They suck. I mean, it's just the whole story.
You have once again missed what I said, or neglected or avoided or ignored what I said. The conversation ain't about the Sun. The conversation is that there are multiple factors like this. There are multiple scenarios, situations that have stacked up like this, one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next, all of which point to the same conclusion. And I think you heard Jason kind of get into it there. Jerry Jones refuses to acknowledge a mistake got made. And in fact, he would rather get upset at other people for pointing it out than deal with it, right? Like, he would rather get mad at someone pointing out that a mistake was made, and by the way, is correctable. And in case people were going, oh, you're making too much of a big deal about it. Well, here is the best pass-catching tight end in the NFL going, yeah, dude, that Son's a son of a up there in Dallas. It makes it real hard to catch the football. I've had that problem. I have looked into that, Son. Look at that. It's bleeping bright, right? So here is a guy who is known as a pass catcher in the league that's telling you, yeah, it's problematic. And this team plays 9 games a year there. It's absolutely a problem. And then Jason points out that the defense of not putting the shades down is, you know where the Sun is. Isn't that the point? You know which games the Sun's going to be a problem. Jerry's own words. You know which games are going to be a problem a year in advance. So don't you plan to have the blinds closed in that moment, right? The point, this conversation is not and never has been about the Sun. Shut up about the Sun. This conversation is and always has been about the fact that there are repeated incidents where something's going wrong, and instead of JJ going, yeah, we made a mistake. How much different of a conversation are we having if JJ comes out and he goes, yeah, you know what? Like, I didn't know it was that big of a problem. Now I do. We're closing the blinds. Because, and this is kind of going back to what we were talking about in the last segment with life lessons being learned through sports, right? If your owner can't acknowledge that he made a mistake by not closing blinds, do you trust him to make to acknowledge that he made a mistake with a head coach or a contract or something that actually impacts the football team on a year-to-year basis? If I can't trust him if I can't trust that he can acknowledge when he is hearing it from his own players, tight ends that are Hall of Famers, retired centers from other teams that are going, this is a problem. If he can't acknowledge it's a problem and commit to a solution, then how in the hell do I expect that he will eventually recognize Mike McCarthy was a mistake? This contract is a mistake. Not signing Derrick Henry was a mistake. Not signing whoever. Not cutting whoever. Not moving on from this coordinator. Whatever. If he can't acknowledge closing blinds, then how in the hell do I trust him when it comes to, being the general manager?
All right. So I have a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. How long has this stadium been around?
Oh, Jerry Dome's been around for, what, a decade? Decade and a half?
So this has just suddenly become a problem.
Did you not hear Travis Kelce?
No, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Why wasn't this a story year 1, year 2, year 3, year 5, all the way through year 10? It wasn't, because it's now a story because the sports media has decided, hey, let's talk about the Sun.
No.
That's why it's a story. If it was a story year 1,
okay,
that would
Jerry
be different.
blame the media. But it's the media's fault. It's not the Sun. It's not me. It's not me. It's the man. Travis Kelce literally just told you for years this has been a problem.
I didn't know you 10 years ago. You're guessing it was 10 years ago when this came out. Were you talking about the story then? About how they built the stadium, but the sun shines.
But you
how about
understand.
year two, after the stadium had been around for a while, and so people had experienced it? Were you talking about it then? No. Why are you talking about it now?
Lonzo, can I talk about a problem I don't know exists? No, but now I know it exists. Now I know it's a problem that has existed for a number of years.
It took a decade for them to figure out that the sun shines in people's eyes.
So what? If somebody is wrongly convicted of a crime 10 years ago and it comes to light today, do we not go, oh, it's a problem? Or you go, how come you didn't point it out 10 years ago? Why weren't I? No, you go, it's a problem and now we correct it. Here's the point. The point is, whether it's been a problem for a day, a week, a month, a year, or a decade, it's a problem. And it's a problem that if we know about it now, and I even think you're doing what Jerry did, which is you think you're giving a good argument, and the reality is you're making it worse.
Oh, because no, I shut it down. This whole thing is shut down.
If this has been a problem.
By the way, it came out in 2009.
If this
it's been around that long, and no one started complaining about the sun till the last couple weeks.
If this has been a problem, and Travis Kelce just said, for him who plays in that stadium probably once every 5 to 6 years, if he's saying it's a problem, he's had multiple times, not once, multiple times. If it's been a problem that long, I promise you some Cowboys wide receivers have been like, this is a problem, right? And if it's been a problem this long, and you have plenty of players now, including the most recent Travis Kelce, that have come out and said, yeah, it's been a problem. But if it's been a problem that long, and Jerry Jones has either A, not known that it causes a problem, and B, refuses to acknowledge that it is a problem, and then C, when called out for it being a problem, actually gives an argument that makes his position worse. We know where the sun is a year in advance. Well, then you should know a year in advance when the hell to close the curtains to not cause a problem. If I can't trust this guy to get this right, to get this angle right, then how do I trust him as a general manager of a football team that I want to invest in? Not me personally. I hate the Dallas Cowboys. I hope they lose every game forever, respectfully.
And now 2 days in a row, you've talked about them. And you've fallen into the trap of we need to talk about a non-story about a team that you don't want to talk about, but you've been talking about the team.
So, 2 things. Number 1. There has never been a point in my career where I'm not willing to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Not because I like them or dislike them, but because they're the most popular team in America. There are Cowboys fans here. There are literally 50% of the people that we work with and around are Dallas Cowboys fans.
All right, that's an exaggeration.
On this station?
Yeah.
20, you're right. 20% of the people. 20% of us.
I just, math.
There's one Chiefs fan, one Saints fan, one guy who hates the NFL, and 2 Cowboys fans. That's here in Greenville, South Carolina.
I don't know if you throw the boss in there. I don't think you
do. He not have control over what happens on the air here?
Yeah, but also control over several different stations.
Of the 5 people who work for and on this station, 20% of them are Dallas fans. If I was going to today, just use that as a microcosm. If I was going to do an NFL conversation and the objective was to guarantee that I have as many people listening, the right decision is to talk about the Dallas Cowboys because 2 of the people on the station love it and at least 2 of us hate them. That's 4 people that are invested. So
I'm indifferent, by the way. I don't care about the Cowboys because they stink.
Oh, me and Diesel is who I was thinking about talking about.
Okay. All
but
right.
Here's the second part. Whether you like them or not, irrelevant. Whether I like them or not, irrelevant. What matters is, do they resonate? And the answer is, yeah, I hate them, but they resonate. So you put all this together, it is a team that is compelling to talk about. And it is always fun to revel in other people's misery. And so part of what you get to do in this situation is to go, hey, all you Cowboys fans, you entitled, elitist, unjustifiably arrogant Cowboys fans. Your owner / general manager can't figure out how to flip a switch that makes your wide receivers be able to see touchdown passes. He can't get that right. But you trust him to make the right call about head coach. Because, by the way, if Mike McCarthy is done this year, whether he gets fired or he says, bleep this, I'm out, and he walks, Jerry Jones is in charge of hiring your next head coach.
I don't get it. If you hate a team, shouldn't you want Jerry to stay there? Shouldn't you want them to stay
Do
irrelevant?
you listen to what I say?
I mean,
I just said that. Yes, I want to dunk on this team. I want to dunk on this team, and I want to dunk on this team to aggravate Cowboys fans. I will acknowledge it. I want to aggravate you. That's the fun part for me. But
does that aggravate them, though? I mean,
know that their general manager is inept and can't figure out how to close a blind when his wide receivers are actively telling him this is a problem.
If I were a Cowboy fan, I would say, hey, the stadium's been around 15 years. Why are you talking about this now?
All right.
That's what I would say.
I hope your sports flash is better than buzz killing my segment. If the sun was in your eyes, I'd close the blinds for you, Lonzo.
I made it more entertaining.
Because I'm a good general manager.
That's what I do. LeBron James has recorded the 40th 30-point triple-double of his career and 123 win over the Memphis Grizzlies last night. James scored 35 to go with 14 assists and 12 boards, his fourth triple-double of the year. James also holds the record for oldest player in the league with 3 straight triple-doubles. Would have gotten 4, but the son, Victor Wembanyama notched his first 50-point game in a 139-130 win over the Wizards last night. Wemby, at 20 years and 314 days old, is the 4th youngest player to score 50. And I don't know if you knew this, but we're just a day away from boxing history as the knockout machine Iron Mike Tyson takes on the most punchable face in boxing, Jake Paul. Stay tuned right here for the hype leading up to the fight, which goes down tomorrow night. And we're going to be talking about it in the Fight Club at 9:20. He'll probably leave the room. We'll see. I legitimately don't see why this is a story. If the stadium had just, been around for like 2 years and people are just starting to notice a problem, yeah. Cowboys living in everybody's head. I don't get it. Again, if you're tired of hearing people talk about something, then don't talk about it. I mean, And if an owner of a team purposefully chooses through ineptness or just because they want to make a team bad, they purchased the team, they own the team, and it's their right to do it.
When you're doing it with me.
Okay, I don't know what you're singing.
HOTTOGO. You can take me high to go.
You told me who it was. I don't remember.
Hey, Chapel Roan.
Okay, yeah. Again.
That's my homie right there.
Yeah, I
get down with Chapel Roan.
If I'm gonna listen to new music, it's gonna be alternative. It's not gonna be. You said she's pop.
It's good.
Okay, all right.
HOTTOGO. You can take me high to go.
Another year, worried about next year.
Where'd it go? There it is.
To contact the experts at Scale Marketing. Scale Marketing is a full-service marketing agency who is expert in lead generation and revenue growth. How expert? Our clients see an average of 20% growth in the first year alone, with sustained growth from there.
I am very aware, Jacob, that there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there that aren't obnoxious. The problem is that your fan base as a whole is.
See, the only 2 Cowboy fans I know, one is very sarcastic to the point of darkness, but that has nothing to do with the Cowboys, and the other one's Cole. So, I mean, and he's just obnoxious. So I don't think he's obnoxious because of being a Cowboy fan. I think he's just,
again, as individuals, no issue with Cowboys fans. It's when you put them in numbers, they become a problem. Football's the one place where I'm like, yeah, stereotypes are good. I'm grouping your whole fan base together.
QC first break.
QC first break. 10-4. You're welcome, Jacob. H-O-T-T.
See, this works out good for me because I don't know the song. So
don't worry, I'll play it at the
you
next
are
break.
You are the only person I've ever heard sing it.
After the endorsement, I'm playing.
And no offense, but you haven't made me want to listen to it.
We're going to groove.
Are
We're
we?
going to groove hard.
Are we grooving?
Dance party in the building. H-O-T-T-O-G-O. You can take me high to go. H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
No way.
It's a banger, dudes. It's a banger. I don't care. I'll listen to pop music if the pop music's catchy and fun. And Chapel Roan put out a banger that's catchy and fun. I've been singing it all morning. Heard it on the radio on the way in this AM and haven't stopped. It slaps.
What kind of place is this?
It slaps. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great man Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass on the 1s and 2s this AM. We'd love to have you be a part of the show. 71307, 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read it on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet the great one at Lonzo on Word. You can get it, all of us, at the Fan Upstate. And you can call the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. There's all the different ways to get in touch with the program. Oh, there's one more, the Ray Memorial Hotline. If you want in on the Ray Memorial Hotline, it's very simple, my dudes and dudettes. You go to the Odyssey app, A-U-D-A-C-Y. If you don't have it yet, grab it, put it on your digital devices. And once you do, go to the Fan Upstate page. Once you get to the Fan Upstate page, in the middle of the page, there's 2 buttons. A big orange one that says Listen Live. And if you click that button, you get to listen to the show live. You get to listen to the station live, 24/7, 365. And next to that, there's another button. It's a little circle with a microphone on the inside. You click that button. It doesn't even look like a button, all right? But it's a button. You click that button, and when you do, it's going to take you to another page that allows you to record and send a voice note of up to 30 seconds. You do that, it comes straight to the great one and I. And during the audio blitz, every day, if you send us the best voice note since yesterday's audio blitz, your voice note will be featured as the Armada audio of the AM. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is 7:02. We got Lulu Kesin coming up at 8 o'clock. So the audio blitz is going to be at 8:20 this morning. I do not have one yet.
All right. I have a request. In honor of all this talk of the sun, please push that button and sing your best rendition of a song with sun in it.
I mean, that's what you want to do.
Sunshine on My Shoulder, Sunshine Day by the Brady Bunch, if you want to do that, or even Black Hole Sun, depending on, how you feel.
Won't you come and wash away the rain, Black Hole Sun? Won't you come? Won't you come?
Now they won't do it, because how could they top that?
I mean, it's fair. It's fair. Go to the Odyssey app, A-U-D-A-C-Y, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on that microphone button, leave us a up to 60-second voice note. I do not have an Armada audio in the AM winner yet. I am looking for one in the next hour and 17 minutes. One of you, if you want it, will get and it can be about anything you want. I'm just looking for the best one. It doesn't have to be sports. It can be food related. It can be a wonderful story, a shared memory, or you can just rant and rave and scream into your phone for 59.9 seconds if that's what you want to do. But I need an Armada audio in the AM winner in the next hour and 16 minutes. Now, in 56 minutes, you've got to be to work. You got to respond to those emails. And then you're going to walk down the hallway. You're going to go to the break room, glug, 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 pour some water out of that water cooler, and you're going to talk sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need this. Sports Flash. This is going to be the fastest audio, a 57-second.
The almanac of the absurd and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary. Well,
Whatever.
diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying
Whatever.
before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet.
I retire.
from the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers. If you're gonna, and let's be real, you're gonna need to know what's going on. And if you're gonna need to know what's going on, this is it. Let's dive right in with item number 1. You all right over there, bud?
It's missing cues right and left. Retirement. I see it. It's right over there. I just got to leap towards
That's
it.
the sun. Don't stare into it. To the NBA we go. A pair of NBA milestones reached last night. We start with the freak, the alien, Victor Wembanyama. Scored a career-high 50 points last night, including a career-best 8 3-pointers in a 139-130 regulation win over the Washington Wizards. Why is that important? Couple reasons. Number one, the last time the Spurs had a 50-point outing in a regulation game, you got to go all the way back to 1994, 30 years ago, and it was done by the Admiral, David Robinson, the last player to drop a 50 spot in regulation for the San Antonio Spurs. At 20 years and 314 days, Victor Wembanyama is also the 4th youngest player to score 50 points. The 3 that were younger than him, younger by just a handful of days, was Devin Booker. Younger than just a handful more days than that was LeBron James. And younger than just a few days than that was Brandon Jennings, the youngest ever to drop a 50 burger. Here's my favorite thing. Victor Wembanyama is the tallest player in NBA history to ever record a 50 spot. My man is 7'4", knocked down 8 threes en route to a 50 burger. Victor Wembanyama is going to be a dog. That dude figures out how to put a little bit more muscle onto a 7'4" tall frame. He's going to be absolutely elite. Here's the fun thing. He doesn't really have to, because Wemby can play outside the arc. He can play from the elbow. He can play from the short corner. He does not have to get up under the iron and bang around like Shaq Daddy. You got to come out to play Victor Wembanyama. If you got a 7-footer that can get a hand in the face of Wemby, he might have to play perimeter defense. Do you understand how many 7-footers can play perimeter defense? 0, 9, none, nada, anywhere. I love this kid. This kid's going to be fun to watch as he continues to develop. Second NBA story in item number 1. Greg Popovich, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, announced yesterday that the medical issue that caused him to miss games and will keep him out for at least the near future was a stroke. Greg Popovich did have a stroke. However, according to said San Antonio Spurs, he is currently in a rehabilitation procedure and is expected to make a full recovery and return to the Spurs sometime in the future. Now, it may take some time. We'll find out, but Pops did have a stroke, is expected to return to the team after making a full recovery down the line. And the third NBA story within item number 1, Braun's still a dog. That man can still play. Last night, he became the oldest player in NBA history to record 3 consecutive triple doubles. 35 points, 14 assists, and 12 boards. It was LeBron's 4th triple-double of the season through 11 games. It brought his career regular season total up to 116. It was also his 3rd straight all-coming in wins during a 3-0 homestand for the Lake Show. They are 6-0 at the house to start the season for the first time since 2010. The triple-double streak is tied for the longest of James' 22-year career, matching the 3 he had back in 2019, 2017, and 2009. And as mentioned, at 39 years old, the oldest player in NBA history to record 3 straight triple-doubles. The last oldest to do it was LeBron James at age 35. Now he did it at 39. The kid can still ball. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him later on in the show. But we got to get to item number 2. Whether it's good, bad, positive, negative, ugly, beautiful, Aaron Rodgers is a compelling character to pay attention to. You might dislike him because of his political takes. You might love him because of his political takes. You might dislike him because of his quarterback play. You might love him because of his quarterback play. You might blame the Jets' problems on him. You may do everything in your power to take the Jets' problems off of him. But however you look at it, much like the Dallas Cowboys, even though Aaron Rodgers and the Jets stink, they're a compelling topic to talk about, which is why it is very interesting that Aaron Rodgers said yesterday that he is planning on running it back in 2025 and playing one more year. Now, it's interesting in large part because under his current contract, none of Aaron Rodgers' compensation is guaranteed after this year, meaning that Aaron Rodgers has 2 options. Number 1, he plays under his current contract in 2025 and he makes 0 dimes. Or number 2, the New York Jets exercise a $35 million option bonus to go on top of his cap charge, which will be $23.5 million. Asked why he's thinking about coming back, Rodgers says he remains optimistic about himself and the Jets' future. He said, quote, "The verdict is still not out on this season yet, despite the fact that the Jets got drummed by the Cardinals 31-6 last weekend, and Anthony Richardson coming back for the Colts as QB1 when facing the Jets is not a coincidence to me. If they had the Chiefs or the Lions or the Ravens or the Bills this weekend, then I think Anthony Richardson sits down one more week. But because it's the Jets, they're going to trot him back out and give him another shot. We'll see if A-Rod decides to come back, and we will see if the Jets decide to have him back or if someone else is willing to pay Aaron Rodgers $30 million to play quarterback for a year. But it's something to keep an eye on.
I'm sure a new coach will probably factor into that.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because I'll tell you right now, if I was taking over as the Jets head coach, I don't want to start my career with a 41-year-old quarterback coming off of the statistically worst season of his career in every statistic. He is ranked 24th in total QBR, the worst he's ever been through this point of the season. He is averaging less than 6.5 yards per attempt, the lowest of his season. He has a 15-7 TD to INT ratio, the worst of his career. His completion percentage is the worst of his career.
Perfect place to draft a quarterback. You let Aaron play one more year. You let that guy sit behind Aaron, see what things are like. And then you got your quarterback of the future.
As much as I believe in letting rookie quarterbacks sit behind a vet, even if the vet's not that good, I don't know if there's anything to be gained sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. I don't think there's anything to learn from this guy anymore. I don't think he ain't Aaron Rodgers anymore. All right, very quickly, item number 3. Joey texted the show and said, hell, I'd love to go on an ayahuasca retreat with Aaron Rodgers. I got to tell you, there is part of me that thinks it would be compelling to go away in a hobbit hole for a week with Aaron Rodgers and just experience it. I think it'd be the wildest handful of days of your life to just see the universe the way Aaron Rodgers sees it. I don't disagree, Joey.
I would love to see you do that and it like change your entire outlook on life.
I mean, it might. It might.
That's what those experiences supposedly do. So they either enhance or they change. So
I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't say after doing it. Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. I wouldn't be saying that afterwards. All right. Item number 3, Diamond Sports Group, the bankrupt operator of regional sports networks around the country, is trying to figure out how in the hell they're going to dig out of the hole that they are in right now. Well, step number 1 of their master plan was revealed yesterday. They have signed a commercial agreement with streaming giant Amazon that will allow in-market fans to watch their teams carried by Diamond Sports Group through Prime Video. Why is this importante? Because one of those teams is the Atlanta Braves. The agreement extends to Diamond's 16 RSNs in 31 states and will be available as an add-on subscription for those who already have access to Amazon Prime and limited to customers corresponding within each team's designated geographic area. Diamond announced in a news release yesterday that pricing and a start date have yet to be determined, but that the agreement is also non-exclusive, which means fans can also stream local games through the FanDuel Sports Network website as well. So, if you are a Braves fan who has spent, I don't know, multiple radio segments of your life over the past few years whining and complaining that the Braves have become progressively more inaccessible to you and asking the question, why is it that you are blacking out a Braves game at 1:30 in the afternoon on a freaking Tuesday afternoon? I can't go to the park. I have a job, DSG. I have a job. Why am I blacked out? Well, now you'll have the opportunity to give Amazon Prime even more of your hard-earned dollars, but you will be able to watch home games. So that's interesting. This comes on the heels of the Atlanta Braves.
What price point would you go now?
I'd be if you're giving me access to every home game, because it'll be home games, right? If you're giving me access to every home game, you're giving me 81 home games that if I have access to all of them. Now, obviously, there will be home games that are broadcast on, ESPN nationally, Sunday Night Baseball when the Braves host one of those. And they will next year because the Braves have the 4 shortest odds in Major League Baseball to win the World Series next year. If the Braves have 81 home games and let's say 20 of them are national, so I'm getting 61 home games that I would not otherwise have access to if I did not illegally stream them somewhere.
Which you would never do.
No, of course not.
Don't do that sort of thing.
No, of course not. I'd come off, you're probably looking at, I would guess, you're probably looking at like 12 to 15 games a month that this would matter for. Like 12 to 15 games max a month that this would, and max. Sometimes there'd be some months that is probably like 6 or 8. But let's say for the sake of, let's say 10 games a month from April, May, June, July, August, September. So I would probably fork over $35 a month for that, on top of what I already pay for Amazon Prime, which is, I think Amazon Prime's up to what, like $200 a year now, right? I think it's like $1.99 a year at this point. So you're looking at $200 a year. So you're looking at, $17 a month effectively for Amazon Prime. I'd go another, I'd say $30. I'd go $30 a month if I got every Braves home game that would possibly be blacked out. But either way, my biggest complaint about baseball, do they just have baseball? No, they also have some NHL teams, and I know they have the Pelicans down in New Orleans is a Diamond Sports Group team. I think the Utah Hockey Club and Phoenix Coyotes. No, excuse me, the Phoenix Coyotes and now Utah Hockey Club. I believe that they are a Diamond Sports Group. There are a handful from across sports that DSG has the rights to. All of them would come accessible. The only one I care about right now, because this is also in market. Like, I can't get Pelicans games here, right? If I got the Braves and the Pelicans, I'd give you $50 a month if I got both. But I only get the Braves in this market. So I'd go like $25, $30 a month if I got every Braves home game that would be blacked out. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, got a couple of bits of sound that I want to play and respond to. We got Lulu Kesin coming up at 8 o'clock in the morning to talk Gamecock football. 8:40, Rashad Beard. 9 o'clock, Hatin Ass Mario from the BetQL Network to talk NFL. And Fight Club with Lonzo at 9:20. All coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're coming right back. Stay right there for me. Thank you. want you all to know that Ashley Simpson just got brought up in conversation in the studio today.
I don't know, Donovan. That sounds like conspicuous.
Are they feet pics? So I have some audio that I want to play here, and I want to play here because there's 3 clips that I believe are all connected. Lonzo and I, like once a year, butt heads over something.
Yeah,
it's
we're usually very agreeable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the on-air equivalent of hugs.
You know what we are? We're Shaq and Kobe, you know? Like butt heads a lot, but also kick everybody else's ass in the process.
I think I know which one I am.
We're like Shaq and Kobe. Oh, you're for sure Shaq. You're for sure Shaq. Just banging in the paint, man.
How'd that taste?
For sure. Hey, Kobe, tell me how my taste. What are the greatest bars ever, dude? That clip was a soundbite on every radio show for a year. All right, so one of the places that Lonzo and I have regularly bumped heads is the way that the media is treated, both in regular life and in sports. I very frequently find myself coming to the defense of the media while also pointing out, wait a minute, I'm going to finish this. While also pointing out that editorialists, that hot take artists, that opinion makers making their opinion is not the same as the media. It's a different branch, okay? So there are 3 people who gave us sound bites this past weekend, and all of them I had a different response to. I want to start with Utah Utes athletic director Mark Harlan. If you missed it, Utah played BYU this weekend. Late in the game, there was a situation where a very questionable defensive holding call was made on the outside. So Utah had BYU pushed up against their own goal line. They thought they got a stop on 4th down, would have ended the game. Instead, out of nowhere, a yellow hanky hit the turf. It was ruled a defensive holding, and Utah got a 1st down, a fresh set that drove the length of the field. They were able to score and win the game. Mark Harlan stormed the press conference. This was not scheduled. He was not on the list of speakers. Mark Harlan stormed the podium, sat down at the table, and in fact, you are going to hear within this clip an audio shift. And you're going to hear the audio shift because the reporters had all shut down their cameras and microphones for this particular moment. And then Harlan started speaking, and they all had to turn them back on. Here's what it sounded like.
I've been an athletic director for 12 years. This game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. Someone else stole it from us. Very disappointed. I will talk to the commissioner. This was not fair to our team. I'm disgusted by the professionalism of the officiating crew tonight. Thank you.
Okay. So this clip's interesting.
You're not supposed to do that.
This clip's interesting to me because a couple of things. Number one, I actually agree with him. I think Utah deserved to win that game. I think it was one of the most hilariously weak defensive holding calls I've ever seen. There was contact at the line of scrimmage, as there is allowed to be. The contact was released once the wide receiver got down the field, as he is supposed to be. And the flag did not come out until after the pass was incomplete and the play was dead, and Utah effectively won the game.
Were there complaints around like there usually are by players, and then suddenly the flag comes out?
Here's the thing. Because it was a late night out west game, they only did that thing that a lot of those games get stuck with, where they have the camera that's like way the hell up in the stadium and you can't really tell. I don't know is the answer. I also don't care because that flag should not have come out. That flag shouldn't have come out. It should not have been ruled a defensive holding, and the game should have ended. This is why I've said forever, my biggest slogan when it comes to officiating is, If it's a foul in the first, it's a foul in the fourth. And if it ain't a foul in the first, it ain't a foul in the fourth. I don't care if it's the first snap of the game or the last and most consequential snap of the game. If it's a foul, it's a foul. And if it's not, it's not. Call it consistently. Okay? I don't care what the dramatics say. I actually agree with Mark Harlan. Here's the problem. It is one thing to come out and go, I got a big problem with the officiating decision. It is a big problem for the hanky to come out. It's a big problem. You influence the outcome of the game. It is another thing to be so caught up in your fifis, as Mark Harlan very clearly was, that you come out and you damage the school. Do you think the Big 12 is super thrilled that the AD of the Utah Utes came out and said, we were excited to join this conference, but now we're not? You're unprofessional. Is he right? You're damn right he's right. He's absolutely right. They got robbed. And before you hit me with, well, wait a minute, Rob, they could have scored more points. They could have stopped BYU. Look, I don't care if you have the worst game ever. If you have a crap game and you still put yourself in a position to win the game should be determined by the performance of the players on the field. Always and forever. This is why Rob Brownish hashtag Team RoboUp. If the players have the crappiest game ever and yet still put themselves in a position where they can go win that game, then they deserve to go win that game. Don't hit me, well, if they would have played better. Yes, that's how every game everywhere has ever worked ever. But they didn't. They played the game they played and still put themselves in a position to win and didn't deserve to have it taken away. But as the athletic director, you got to present it more professionally than that. As the athletic director, you were in charge of the image of the school. You were in charge of the business aspects of the school. And if you go in there and you kick the door down and go, all right, you sorry sons of we hate you, and you make the school look real bad. And guess who can make it worse for you? The conference and the conference officials, right? One thing to grab the mic and go, hey, we got a problem with what just happened out there. We will be addressing it with this conference because we are very disappointed and unhappy with the outcome. That's fine. That's fair. But to come out there and to do that, you're throwing your school under the bus. You're creating a world in which if there is one person with any power in the athletic director's office, in the conference athletic director, in the conference commissioner, that's the guy in the conference commissioner's office who can pull strings and make your life worse. Yeah, they're about to do that. Now, let me give you another one. Here's another guy who got a little snippy with the media. This is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the butthole of America. Doug Peterson.
What was the play? What was supposed to happen on the final Mac interception if he didn't get hit and throw the pick?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the details of the play because you guys wouldn't figure it out. But we'll look at the tape tomorrow and we'll make those corrections.
Hey, Doug, you. Okay? All right? That's not how you do it as a head coach.
You're the only guy that I know that would understand if he broke down the play.
You think there's...
I don't know anybody else that would understand it in the detail that you would know.
Now, this is one of those...
I'm not defending him on this. I'm just saying that was wrong. What he said, he shouldn't have did it. But if he broke down the play, there's probably a good majority of the reporters that go, yeah, I don't know what he's
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are. But also, no, there's a lot of us who know ball. There's a lot of us who understand a post route and a go route and a combo route and how they work.
I don't know if there's a lot.
There absolutely are. I have a huge circle of friends who text play schemes, designs, and what they're doing with each other.
No,
right?
It's
now
labeled nerd, right?
Sure. Call me whatever you want to call me.
Right.
Don't get mad. I know ball. Don't get mad that I've taken the time to teach myself what's happening on a field so that I can talk football as opposed to just going, oh, he threw bad.
Well,
why did he throw bad?
I'm ignorant, so you can say that you know all those plays, and I'll just have to go, yeah, you sound like you know it.
That's fair. And there's a lot of people out there who know ball, and they go, oh, this guy knows ball. And I appreciate that he's actually breaking these plays down more than just being like half the dudes on the big talking head nets and going, Mac Jones is bad. Okay, but why? Tell me why. Don't you want to know why?
They're right, though. He is bad.
I don't disagree with it, but I can tell you why. Now, all of that being said, Mac Jones throws a pick. It ends up being a god-awful pick. I mean, god-awful pick. He throws it into the corner of the end zone. Ain't nobody but a damn Minnesota Viking anywhere within 10 yards. Choking up 10 yards of where the ball's going to land. It's bad. So when
it happens to him when he talks about Jacksonville.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Butthole of America. When Doug Peterson is asked what went wrong, It's not that hard. I don't need I don't need you to have a doctorate in knowing ball to go, he was supposed to run a post route and he ran a slant. He was supposed to run a 9 and he ran a 7. He was supposed to run a corner route and he ran a post route. Whatever, right? All you got to say is that. I mean, Lonzo knows what a 9 route is. He knows what a post is versus an out, right? Just say it. But to go, you bunch of dumb idiots wouldn't get it. Doug Peterson's on his way out, boys. That is what happens when a coach is panicked
Post
and is
when
out.
you go out and turn around.
No, post is when you run to the goalpost. Run down, go to the goalpost.
What if you're like on the 10 on the opposite side? You still
That's flag route or an out route.
No. I mean, you run all the way down to the post, even if you're on the 10.
Yeah, it's post route. It's just you just run to the
all right.
do, and it'll be like a 10
I was
post.
thinking button hook.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
The point here is, Doug, you don't have to go into the entire offensive philosophy and tell me why the combo route didn't work because the cornerback was in a cover 3 and we thought he was going to be in a 2 and they disguised it, roll the coverage up. Just say it was supposed to be this and it wasn't. And then Matt made a mistake.
Hey, Rob, what's a flanker?
It's a wide receiver that's furthest and he's outside of the outside defensive back, so therefore he's got him flanked. Might be all the way on the sideline, might be on the hash mark, depending on the defensive setup.
Whoa.
In soccer, it's a whole different thing. I can give you that too because no ball. Doug Peterson, why don't you calm the bleep down, bud? Now, when we come back, one more coach who addressed the media, got snippy with him, and I liked it. That's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
You're like,
all right, dudes, be right back. Stay right there. did too. And when they made him the new bloodline, when they made him the new trouble chief, I'm like, no way. And he has gotten infinitely better.
Especially his mic work, because he's being sarcastic instead of being all, yeah, I like it. Okay, so that one word, 2 words that you're saying there, Donovan, I don't know what that. I've heard people say that a bunch. The last 2 words. What what does that mean? No, but what does it mean? Butthole, I get, obviously.
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, because
Oh, okay. It is when you have your head up your rectum as if you're wearing it like a hat.
Okay.
It's a fancy
all right.
way of saying
I got it now.
Up your butt.
I got it. Thank you, Urban Dictionary.
Yep. We're all better people than we were 2 seconds ago. So I have given you 2 short clips, one from Utah Utes athletic director Mark Harlan, who stormed the press conference and gave you this clip.
I've been an athletic director for 12 years. This game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. Someone else stole it from us. Very disappointed. I will talk to the commissioner. This was not fair to our team. I'm disgusted by the professionalism of the officiating crew tonight. Thank you.
Not a good look, because anybody in the commissioner's office that has any power to make your life suck is going to do that now. Then I gave you this clip from Butthole Jaguars coach Doug Peterson.
What was the play? What was supposed to happen on the final Mac interception if he didn't get hit and throw the pick?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the details of the play because you guys wouldn't figure it out. But we'll look at the tape tomorrow and we'll make those corrections.
So Mark Harlan absolutely had a point, delivered it the wrong way. Doug Peterson does not have a point and delivered it the wrong way. I have a problem with what Harlan did because he made all the people in the athletic department, from himself all the way down to the walk-on non-scholarship guys playing for the Utes, he made their life more difficult. I got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with his opinion. He's right. I have a problem with the delivery of it. Doug Peterson. I have a problem with everything about Doug Peterson. Not only does he not have a point because he didn't make one, he just said, oh, we'll get it fixed, which is the lamest thing that a coach can do. But on top of that, he insulted everyone in that room for no good reason. Because here's the thing. I promise you there's at least one, because I know him, there's at least one person in that room covering that team that knows ball. And that if you just explain it, he could then go be the mouthpiece that goes, look, the Jags had a chance. It went sideways. And according to Doug Peterson, here's what went wrong. But see, Doug knows he's on borrowed time at this point. He's cooked. He's toast. He's finished. He's out at the end of this year. Ain't no doubt. You are wasting Trevor Lawrence. You are done at the end of this year. And he's going to take it out on everybody. So I guess at the end of the day, I really shouldn't worry about it because it doesn't matter. In 2 more months, Doug Peterson's going to be fired and somebody else is going to step in and play that role. Now, there's one more coach who got into it with the media. Well, let me rephrase that. Shane Beamer did not get into it with the media. Shane Beamer got into it with one particular rag. I don't even need to set up the situation because Shane, and what I think is a good job, Shane lays out his grievance, addresses the grievance, dunks on the rag, and then gets out.
This is not a shot at you, Jordan. I like you a lot, but your paper sometimes is a doozy. And last year when we played Vanderbilt, y'all wrote one of the most ridiculous articles I've ever read in the history of journalism, where you had the Clemson beat writer write an article about how far South Carolina's program had fallen in 2023 because we weren't favored by more against Vanderbilt. That might have been one of the most embarrassing pieces of journalism I've ever read, to say this team has fallen as a program in 2023 because they're not favored by more against Vanderbilt. That in 2022, they were favored by this much against Vanderbilt, but in 2023, they're not. So all of a sudden, they've fallen as a program. I mean, that's just some Bush League stuff right there by that guy.
Not a single issue with that, with the exception of one. The one exception, the one issue I have with it is the same, and I've had this issue with Lonzo many times in the past. It's an editorial column. It's not journalism. There's a difference. There's a difference between journalism and editorialism.
All right, here's the thing. Yes, we have this argument, but you are believing that everyone knows that, and everyone doesn't know that. There are people out there who believe, I read it in this, so it's news. They don't know that this is someone's opinion.
That doesn't make them not wrong. They're still wrong, right? Just you're wrong out of ignorance, whether it's willful or unwillful. You're still wrong.
Your lot in life, your goal, your creed. I don't know, to teach people the difference.
I'm trying to. I literally am trying to right now. There is a difference between
journalism
and editorialism.
So
what Shane is referring to is an editorial column.
It should be on the editorial page, right?
Well,
so this article was on the editorial page.
Here's the thing.
It wasn't, was it? It was on the sports page.
You should not need someone to put up a neon sign that says opinion for you to read it and go, this is an opinion. Clemson or South Carolina should be favored by more. And the fact that they're favored by left shows that is clearly and evidently an opinion. And yes, I have certain expectations of the intelligence of people.
Okay, well, that's a mistake. And here's the other thing. If we are breaking news, usually we're breaking actual news. But for the most part, this show is editorializing everything.
Correct. Which is why I do not refer to myself as a journalist.
If I read a newspaper, because I don't even know if they have physical copies anymore. They probably do. If I read a newspaper, I would expect everything that's not in the editorial section of the paper to be news and not be opinion.
And I would expect that you, as a functioning adult who's read newspapers, can read and go, this is an opinion, right? Like, I'm sorry. Yes, I have baseline expectations of intelligence for functioning members of society.
I think part of it may also be age, because, back in the day, there was no opinion in places where it wasn't a place to put opinion.
Cool.
Editorial was opinions. Everything else is reporting the news. Right. And it's gotten away from that to the point where you go, okay, is this the actual news, or does this guy just not like that team?
See, this is I couldn't disagree more, because if a guy writes down in a newspaper, Clemson, South Carolina, hang on.
That's all.
Damn it. I ruined it. If a guy writes in a newspaper, last year, South Carolina was favored over Vanderbilt by 14 points, and this year they're favored by Vanderbilt over 10 points. That's news, right? If that's facts, that's just numbers. You can go check that. But if the guy writes, last year South Carolina was favored by 14 points and this year is 10, and that's because South Carolina's worse as a football team, that's opinion.
Was it actually a Clemson beat writer?
I don't freaking know.
But
I'm going to take.
I think that makes the story more interesting if he was.
And I don't disagree, because I think if that is the case, and I'll take Shane Beamer for granted that he's correct and that it was a Clemson beat. And let's keep it a buck. There's every possibility also that it was just a columnist who wrote a column, and because he wrote a column critical of Shane Beamer, Shane just assumes he's the Clemson guy. It doesn't matter to me. The point about this isn't the news or how it's presented. The point here for me is I'm actually going to defend Shane going after this newspaper for this.
Well, there are some people, and we've been in the midst of a storm before when it comes to this, think that it's beneath Shane to comment on articles or some lame guy in the upstate of South Carolina coming at him. But I think it shows fire, and I'm okay with it.
So
so you can say this about me, but I can't say anything back. That's not cool.
So listen, there's a I love Steeman on the stream saying we can't all be haughty intellectuals like Rob Brown. That's not how that word's spelled, Steven, but it is today.
But that's actual proof of what he's saying, because he didn't spell. He misspelled it on purpose.
Am I screen capping that? Absolutely.
Of course you are.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you for that.
Way to compliment him.
That's going to be on Twitter like 2 minutes after I'm leaving it up the rest of the segment.
Yeah, I'll be taking it down.
So I don't have any problem with Shane getting after it. And I will even go so far as to say, for those of you that have listened to this station for some length of time, you know that there was a dust-up between a host on this station and Shane Beamer a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And there was some infighting at the station because I defended Shane Beamer attacking this radio station.
All right, so I don't know why it's I mean, because we're a team. And,
well,
trust me, I got more of it than you know. So anyway,
maybe so. However you want to dice it up,
especially after we had Shane on. Well, you did that on purpose.
Yeah, we
just
did.
To prove,
yes, we did.
It's like no.
I
someone on the station said they couldn't get him on the station, and all Rob did was call and ask to get him on the station, and he said yes.
The point here is we had a a host on this station had a dust up, and what happened was Shane addressed the station at large because of one host, dragged us into it. We, of course, as affiliated shows on the station, got dragged into it, and I told the host in question at the time, I'm actually defending Shane Beamer attacking my station. He got real mad. He's like, oh, you should defend the station above all else. No. What I'm going to defend is the fact that you said a thing, you made a hot take that got picked up, that put Shane Beamer in a bad light. Shane attacked you for it, and you had nothing other than trust me, bro. That's what happened here. You said trust me, bro. And I don't take trust me, bro, as certifiable reason to accept a take. So I actually have Shane's back, even when he's attacking the station I work for, because it's not me or the show. That being said, I didn't have a problem with it when he did it then.
It was all a pattern of building hatred of a fan base towards someone to get clicks. And then it works if you're good at it. And that guy's really good at making people hate him.
Look, this has nothing to do with him.
But I didn't think it was beneath Shane to comment because he was coming at Shane, and Shane is human and he shouldn't go, oh yeah, that's just goes with the territory. No, I want my coach a little bit fiery and coming back at stuff like that.
The point that the other host was making there, and an opinion he stood on for a long time, is that, oh, Shane behind the scenes is a hothead and he's temperamental and he's tough to work with and yada yada yada. And one of the things that he tried to do was to take,
it's funny coming from that guy,
was to take that story that he created and to, once Shane attacked, go, see, I told you so. And my answer was, as Lonzo's is now, I don't have an issue with it, because your expectation of how someone should behave is not the rule. It's not. And I'm talking about that host, but I'm talking about every person listening, right? This is the way you should act in that station. That I don't always disagree. Now, I do understand that if you are going to step out of the norm, you've got to understand the potential consequences that come along with it. I understand the potential consequences that come along with me being a host that's willing to call an entire city the butthole of America. I may very well get taken to task for that, and I accept that as a consequence. Pat McAfee understood the consequences when he rolled out his podcast of being a host who dropped multiple F-bombs every show. He understood the potential consequences. But he also said, this is me and how I'm doing the show. And he got rewarded with the most listened to sports talk show in America based on that, right? So you got to understand. And Shane, I think, is a dude who understands the consequence, because I'll get text, like I just did on the text line at 71307, that said, Shane Beamer is so sensitive. Yeah, sure. Let's say he is. Let's say you're right. Here's the thing. What does it matter if you feel that way, or I feel that way, or Lonzo feels that way, or anybody else feels that way? There is a small group of people who it matters if they believe Shane Beamer is sensitive or not. Who are those people? Guys, he's trying to go get to play football for him. And I'll tell you right now, if I am a recruit, I can tell you this, and only this about me and only me, anecdotally. If I am a football player, Rob Brown at 18 years of age, had I had any talent, ability, ambition, whatever, that was a D1 football player.
Height.
And I was 6'3" in high school. I ran a 4'4".
Weight.
All right. I wasn't good. If I was a D1 prospect and I saw a coach that was willing to go get somebody, to just go outright attack, to say about somebody,
I mean, that's just some Bush League stuff,
and to go get him, to defend the program, that's a guy I want to play for. That's a guy I want to have the pride in the program that guy has in the program. When he's calling people out, that's the guy I want to play for. So it doesn't matter if you think he's overly sensitive. What matters is if the guys that are playing for him and he wants to play for him do. And I'll tell you right now, doesn't seem like any of them do. So who the hell cares? You know what we wouldn't say?
I mean, that's just some Bush League stuff.
About Lonzo Sports Flush.
Oh, I think you would absolutely say that about everything that I say. It's okay. We all got our talents. 2 games after being benched for tapping out of a game, the Colts are bringing former 4th overall draft pick Anthony Richardson back as a starting quarterback. Coach Shane Steichen said yesterday Richardson has spent the time on the bench improving his off-the-field preparation and field leadership. The Colts face the Jets on Sunday. Also, Flacco wasn't good. We are just a day away from boxing history as the knockout machine, Iron Mike Tyson, takes on the most punchable face in boxing, Jake Paul. Stay tuned right here for the hype leading up to the fight, which goes down tomorrow night. We'll be talking about it extensively at 9:20. Also, tune in tomorrow at 6:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Tulane Green Wave in hardcourt action. It's Furman versus Tulane right here on your home for Paladins basketball. It's us. It's here. It's the Fan upstate. You made him smile, Stephen. I'm doing the opposite today. I believe I got my daggum turds under control. I ain't even jumping out there no more. So I'm curious. I wonder, since obviously I'm not from here, if I hear someone from Ohio, I immediately recognize that they're from that area or the state surrounding that. If you are from here, do you automatically recognize the dialect of a person? Can you tell if they're from Pickens County? Can you tell if they're from Lawrence? Can you tell if they're from Charleston? Obviously, you can tell if they're from Charleston. I mean, just automatically you go, okay, that guy went to Anderson, that sort of thing. Is there certain accents that stand out? Like I said, Charleston, Pelzer, someone from Pelzer. I was just saying, if I hear someone talking, I can tell they're from Ohio because you don't think you have an accent when you're from somewhere, but you do.
For sure.
Especially if you're in a place where that accent, you don't hear it very much.
I would agree.
The Miz, Johnny Gargano, John Moxley, these are all wrestlers who have an Ohio accent. I sent you this. I know you saw it, but
yeah,
I sent you a different perspective. Did you see the perspective that I sent you? The ball coming at someone. And then they still stood there when she teed it up and got ready to shot the next one. I'm moving back or something, or at least getting in a defensive position. I don't know what you can do. Maybe duck behind someone who's really tall. But her being her, she's going to buckle down. She's going to learn how to get better at that game, and she's going to take that game over. And all the people were making fun of her.
Shortly after that, she stepped up and drained like a freaking 20-foot birdie putt. like a gangster putt.
So a short game's good. The long games, you just
Not so
gotta-
much.
Yeah, you got to work on it.
Yep.
In fairness, I don't know if you guys know this. If you've never played golf before, when you go and play golf, there's not a bunch of people standing around like on either side, so you can shank right or left. You still could probably hit somebody, but it takes some effort. You also get old guys who say, "Oh, go ahead and play through," and they're really just jealous of you because they can't hit the ball that long anymore, and they're embarrassed.
Chicks dig the long ball. Oh, Lulu.
Oops.
Sorry, that's on me.
No, it's on me. I know it. I just didn't do it.
Texter said, Rob, as a former Floridian, I can confirm that Jacksonville is indeed America's booty shoot. That's just facts, not editorial. Yeah, I refer to myself as an analyst. I refer to myself as an editorialist because I am. However, I have served in the capacity of journalism before.
Could we that I don't know, I guess can two words be a phrase? I don't know. Could we not say that again? Even though I had my ears covered while I was making a phone call, I heard that, and that just
we shall refer to
that seems a little bit on the edge of getting having to take a trip down the hall, which I do not want to do.
Well, it's tame compared to what a lot of what we said. But what I will say is, you're right, Texter, and as a journalist, I can confirm that. Hey, speaking of journalist, one who see that's a segue. I'm a professional.
Way to go, you.
Speaking of someone who is one, she is a journalist who covers the South Carolina Gamecock athletic department over in Columbia, South Carolina. She joins us every Thursday in the 8 o'clock segment to talk Gamecock football. We're going to rotate it, morph it over into basketball as we start to get deeper and deeper into the college basketball season. She is the lovely Lulu Kesin joining us here on the show. Good morning, Lulu Kesin. How do you do?
Good morning. How are you guys? I'm good.
Are you recovered from the weekend?
Finally, yes.
Yes.
All the time changes and all the travel and everything. Yeah.
I believe it.
I'm doing well.
I believe it. Let's dive in, Lulu Kesin, a little roadie over to Nashville, Tennessee, where the Gamecocks were facing yet another ranked team. This time, one of the most interesting stories in college football, the Vanderbilt Commodores. And this game felt interesting for South Carolina because Vandy was hot, because all eyes were suddenly, and maybe for the first time in the history of that program, on Nashville. And it felt like a game that Vanderbilt would have loved to add to the 2024 story of the Doors, but South Carolina went over and kind of imposed the will a little bit. Give me your 36,000-foot view of this contest.
Yeah, I felt like South Carolina almost was a little offended at times that scouts thought that the game would be so close, which you kind of have to tip your hat, to Vanderbilt and how they've played this season. And I'm not surprised people thought it was going to be a great game, but it sort of felt like South Carolina was riding the energy of like, hey, we've won 15 straight games against this team. This isn't going to change this season, no matter how good they are. So it just kind of felt like Oklahoma a little bit like didn't really take the foot off the gas from the first quarter to the fourth and just played a complete game. And the offense, even though obviously Lenore Sellers had that fumble, did enough to kind of put the game away, especially Rocket Sanders for sure.
And to me, we talked about this on Monday, Lulu Kesin. It feels like the last couple of weeks, this team started to open up a little bit. It feels like they've kind of started to open up the playbook. I said on Monday's show, I think there's a lot of folks out there, and I am one of them, a lot of folks out there that maybe Odell Loggins some flowers, right? Like this guy was taking hell earlier in the season. And this time around, it kind of felt like that offense was picking up some momentum, was opened up a little bit. What's your opinion on all that?
What I've the thing about Dowell and the thing about criticism about his play call and stuff is that a lot of the time when I see it, I hear people's frustration. However, I think Dowell has an extremely good understanding on his team, which is what should be the case if you're an offensive coordinator. But his ability to almost read the moment and read momentum, I think, is sort of what's impressing me most right now, because he could so easily try to do so much with a team that's improving, but he's almost kind of just pacing himself, how I feel, honestly, and just doing, he talked about, like, all season long, he's just been like, yeah, we just need time. Like, we have young players, and, like, no one wanted to hear that. And I don't even feel like he's in, like, I told you so mode. Like, he's just so focused on taking it game by game and reading the energy and the momentum of what's exactly in front of him and how that relates to, his playbook and his play calling.
How much of that do you think, or what portion of that do you think is due to the development, the progression of Lenora Sellers as the quarterback and opening up the run game more progressively for Rocket Sanders? Because, and you and I have had this conversation in the last handful of weeks about how, one of the criticisms has been that Lenora Sellers very clearly has all the physical talent, but it doesn't feel like he's seeing the game better week by week. The last 3 weeks have kind of gone completely the opposite of that narrative. How much do you think, if the play calling has changed at all, in your opinion, how much of that do you think has been because of the increased and maybe accelerated development of Lenora Sellers?
I think it's entirely because of that. I mean, I do think, looking back at plays in maybe like Kentucky or LSU or even Ole Miss at that point, and it's like, you kind of have to feel for Dowell in a sense, because he just doesn't have, his players aren't at the level or, I guess, comfortability that these people on Twitter want his players to be to call these plays. I just think Lenoris is finally at a place where the game is so his speed now. It's easy. He's at ease. He's able to kind of operate and work at a comfortable pace and comfortable energy. And I think that's working hand in hand of what Dowell is looking to do. But I don't think Dowell's play calling right now would be getting the praise it did if it wasn't for Lenoris and his rapid improvement. I think that's sort of, now that the offensive line is sturdy and protecting him better, and then obviously that opens up the run game. It's all going hand in hand, and I think that's why Dowell's obviously able to explore his playbook a little bit. I truly do think in the beginning of the season he just didn't have the players that were ready for, I guess, maybe what his play calling abilities could do.
I think one of my Lulu Kesin favorite things has been that, and we talked a little bit about this in the last segment. Shane kind of had some words for a rival publication of yours based on some editorial comments that they've made. One of the things I've appreciated about Shane Beamer in recent months has been, even when he's been taking heat, and I will acknowledge for a handful of weeks, especially after the Ole Miss game, from me included, is that he has kind of stayed on message. It's been a very trust the process. I trust my guys. I mean, the biggest criticism I've heard is always, this is multiple coordinator failures in a row. And he said, hey, y'all relax, let us develop, let us grow. And it seems like that's coming to fruition. Shane has every right to come over here and tap dance all over my metaphorical grave in that right. And he certainly is being kind of that fiery, aggressive dude that we like. But the message remains consistent from Shane Beamer, which is just watch us. We're trending up. We're developing. We're getting better. Just keep an eye on us. And so far he's been right.
Shane has always just wanted people to continue to watch and trust that his team will get better. And I think that takes a lot of confidence and almost I don't want to be cheesy and say courage, but it's putting a lot of pressure on the future of your team. And it's paying off for him entirely. I think back to in the summer at SEC Media Days, he made a classic dad joke about Rocket Sanders. And he was like, Rocket Sanders recovery is, it's rocket science. And nobody laughed. And he was like, wow, like, I thought that was funnier than you guys did. And like, he can laugh all he wants. Rocket Sanders just fully is looking like shades of his 2022 self right now. So it's like, I kind of what I saw in a little bit of him pulling up a reference to what someone said about Vanderbilt last year. Like, he's kind of in I told you so mode, but doing it in a way that's like, I'm not going to let you forget that this has been our plan all along to just improve game by game.
I respect that. I do. I also respect a good dad joke every now and then. So good on Shane. We are talking to Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News. She covers the South Carolina athletic department for the Greenville News over in Columbia, South Carolina. We said coming into this game, you and I talked about it last week. We agreed key to the game was the two defensive ends, limiting what Diego Pavia was able to do outside of the pocket. Keep him in the pocket, keep him contained, make him beat you either with his arm or if he's going to run, make him run into the heart of that defense. And I feel like that game plan for the most part was successful. He did have the one touchdown run, but outside of that, it felt like South Carolina defensively just kind of kept Vanderbilt from ever getting comfortable.
And I guess that's sort of the prime example. Like when you hear Clayton White in media talk about like, oh, we're prepared because we get to go against Lenore Sellers every day. Like that kind of was a prime example of actually what happens when you're preparing for a quarterback and who plays sort of like Lenore does. And I think Pavia had shades, like they were very similar. And I think that's why South Carolina from the jump was just kind of able to predict every like magical Houdini move he made and everything like that. Because obviously Lenore's had his fair share of those against the Vanderbilt defense. So it was just a clear, it looked like South Carolina's preparation was perfectly executed, in my opinion, especially against a really good quarterback.
All right, let's turn our attention to the Mizzou Tigers, the next one up. And we kind of talked earlier in the week, and you don't want to get presumptive. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, Lulu Kesin. The Gamecocks went out, they're 9-3. Not just 9-3, but they're 9-3 against one of the most difficult schedules in America. I heard Heather Dinich on ESPN say, if Georgia loses 3, you can't count Georgia out. And my response was, if you can't count Georgia out, you better have Carolina in that same discussion. But obviously to get there, you got to get through Mizzou. And this is a team that South Carolina has had some battles with the last couple of years. Does this year's contest feel any different to Shane Beamer? Is there any different approach that he's taken based on what the team has developed into this season?
He told us Tuesday that they've just kicked their butts physically every year. Like, obviously, Shane Beamer's 0-3 against Mizzou in his time at South Carolina, and I think this does mean a little bit more to him. I think South Carolina is at a place where just it's so perfectly timed for them, and it's such a golden opportunity. Like, everything's clicking for them, whereas it seems like Missouri, which is a great team and 7-2, is dealing with some pretty significant injuries right now. So I think it's more of, yes, this year is different because of how good we feel right now. Yes, this year is important because we don't want to win or don't want to lose a fourth straight game to Missouri under Beamer, but it's also like, okay, yes, this year has to be different based on the simple fact that we're a stronger team on paper right now, and we have to take advantage of that opportunity.
So what's this game look like to you? I mean, is there anything specifically about Mizzou? Because you kind of know what Eli Drinkwitz's program looks like. And Shane's right. They want to beat you at the point of attack. They want to be able to run the ball. They want to kind of own the line of scrimmage. Obviously, that plays into a very good defensive line for the South Carolina Gamecocks. What's your overall view of this game before we get into the X's and O's?
I think my overall takeaway is Shane was, praising the wide receiver core, and I think maybe I don't have the box scores and the numbers from the last 3 times they've played, but I think this specific Missouri team might throw the ball a lot more than the others just based on the wide receivers they have and the quarterbacks they have. I don't think either quarterback is going to want to run the ball nearly as much as other QBs that South Carolina has played this season.
I don't disagree with that at all. So then let's kind of segue that into this. We have spent, Lulu Kesin, so much time talking about the defensive line, talking about Stewart and Kincaid and these other guys that are playing with their hands in the ground. Talk to me about the development, the improvement, what you think about the defensive backs for the Gamecocks, because they are likely going to be challenged by Mizzou.
Vanderbilt was a huge test without having DQ Smith. DQ Smith is, a starting defensive back for South Carolina who's been kind of that core, like, junior presence on the team. And he pulled something in warmups and just, like, all of a sudden couldn't play against Vanderbilt. And Peyton Williams stepped in and kind of stepped in flawlessly, which really speaks to the depth that South Carolina has on defense, but just also obviously credit to Williams as well. So I think South Carolina's secondary and, their defensive backs are going to be challenged similar to Alabama. That Ryan Williams, obviously against Alabama, was there and was a threat and was a huge kind of point of emphasis in scouting. And Shane was honest. He was like, I'd love to look at the box score on Saturday and see that they had 0 catches, but it's not realistic. So it's about making tackles after the catch. So I think that's kind of going to be the key. South Carolina has kind of had these, like, random pockets of missed tackles per game. So that's going to be critical. Obviously, South Carolina is going to try to eliminate every single catch that, Luther Burden and Lukey Cooper make. But it's kind of just about, okay, they make a nice catch. You got to tackle them the second that they come down with the ball.
Lulu Kesin covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. Before we let you go, Lulu, you know what the interview ends with every single week. There is a game. The South Carolinas win yet their next game against a top 25 team in the Missouri Tigers, if blank.
If they prove that they understand the importance of winning a game they need to win. A&M, it was like they were the underdogs, and I truly think that South Carolina, this is the first time that they really, really should win an SEC game. And I think that if it's sprinkles of LSU or sprinkles of their old self, then that will say a lot. So I guess my overall take is South Carolina has to play just as good mentally as they've been playing physically to close the season.
You know what I love about that, Lulu Kesin? What I love is what you just said. This maybe feels like, and I'm even including the Vanderbilt game last week, this feels like the first time that you look at a Southeastern Conference game being played by the Gamecocks and go, they should win this game. Not a they can, not a if they play well, not if they have a great day and the other guys have a bad day or whatever. This is the first time in a minute that you can look at an SEC game and go, South Carolina should win this football game. The only way they don't is if they have a bad day, and I got to think that comes as a relief to a lot of Gamecock fans.
Totally. Absolutely. And yeah, you said it best. I think I have a small story, but I'm not going to continue on that. But
wait, you can't say I have a story and then not tell the story, Lulu Kesin. We got like a minute and 10 seconds left. Come on now.
I'll say it really fast, and it's probably going to disappoint a lot of people because it's not about South Carolina, but I think back to the Lions and the 49ers playoff game last year, and I remember hearing my dad, when the Lions started losing, he was like yelling at the TV, but he was saying, don't do this to us. And it was like so much emotion about being like a bandwagon Lions fan and being like, everyone's rooting for you. Don't let us down at the highest stage. And I feel like that's what South Carolina fans are going to feel like if they crumble this weekend. It's like, you gave us so much hope. Don't let it die so quickly and so easily. It's the last conference home game. It's a big deal. It's a 4 p.m. kick, which is basically a night game because it gets dark at like 5. So there's a lot going into this game, and I think South Carolina fans are going to feel very, very sad if it doesn't go their way.
I like that. And also, I 100% want to watch a Lions game with your dad now. Lulu Kesin covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News, joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk Gamecock sports. Lulu, you are the best. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week.
You got it. Lulu Kesin. Follow her on X at Lulu Kesin, LuluKesin. She is of the best. Back after this, we do a short version of the audio blitz. Then we got Rashad Beard. Then we got Mario Hessen. Mario Hessen. What's wrong with you? Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hatin Ass Mario. Then we got Fight Club. And then we all go home. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Good, because I got to go to the bathroom. Are you stepping away?
Yeah.
Okay. We're right back, guys. Don't go nowhere. Conductor's baton. Texter said, Rob, my 4-year-old just heard you say Gamecocks, and she said, ew, nasty boys. We don't like them. Hashtag raise them right. I like that. Hell yeah, raise them right. They should have an immediate disdain for your rival's logo and name. I don't care who your rivals are or what their logo and name are.
Which is why orange is not allowed in my house.
I respect that immensely. I truly do. Hey, we got Rashad Beard coming up in the next segment. So we got a very, very, very short audio blitz here. Like, time for one or two that we are going to run through. Let's go with this one. Because I think it's, and I shouldn't, because it's one we could end up having a conversation for the rest of the segment. The Jets and the Cardinals played last week. And the Cardinals beat the hell out of the Jets. So bad that on the sideline, Kyler Murray, quarterback, and James Conner, running back, had this conversation. Why is this not? Oh, had this conversation. That's my bad.
It's a privilege to feel like we good. You know what I'm saying? We good enough to, as long as I do me. He grew up eating Wendy's. Arby's? Or whatever the Arby's, Wendy's.
John Silver.
All that. On game. Taco Bell. Yeah. Sonic.
I ain't had that.
Yeah, Sonic.
So the conversation was just the list of fast food places that they enjoy.
Okay, but why? I mean, it's just, what's this have to do with the game? They're just, is this
nothing at all. They were up 31-6. They were doing whatever they wanted to do offensively. At this point, they were just enjoying their Sunday at the park.
Doing the Al Michaels riff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just enjoy. Because, and again, as we talked about earlier, when the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Darren Rizzi, pointed out that his day started by showing up and clogging the commode in his very first day as a game day coach as a head coach for the Saints. These people are people too.
By the way, I get it. I didn't have Sonic till we moved out here. I think since then it's moved further north, but at the time it was pretty much down here.
How do you feel about Sonic?
I like Sonic.
I do too.
There's a problem though with my car. So, I mean, I liked it better when I had an SUV.
You know, Sonic has drive-thrus now.
Yeah,
like legit.
I know. Well, what we do, they also have you can sit outside and eat ice cream.
They do.
Yeah.
A lot of them do.
Yeah.
Now, the Sonic I grew up at back down in Shalimar, Florida, the vast metropolitan area that it is. The area I grew up at, our Sonic, old school, though, had the waitresses that came out on roller skates. Yeah. And so it was an old school car hop, right? And I do remember the old man taking there, and they would come out, and they even had the little tray that clipped onto the window, you know?
They still have trays here like that hook on the window. That's why I don't go there with my car, because, my smart car, it'll turn it over.
The image of you climbing into one of those glorified Hot Wheels is hilarious. Hilarious.
I've been in a Mini Cooper before.
Ugh.
At my fattest, which I'm not at, by the way, believe it or not, been in a Mini Cooper, and they're surprisingly roomy. But a smart car, I don't think would be.
I am very Team Sonic. All right, foot-long chili cheese coney with tots. Get the extra tots, and the Route 44 is untouchable.
I do love you can buy the tots in your local grocer now in the freezer.
I
don't know.
And I have. And by the way, out of the air fryer they are.
I always make my tots in the air
don't
fryer.
microwave them.
Can you tell the difference between those tots and other tots?
Yeah, just like everything else though, right? It's like a McDonald's Coke. Coke is good, but McDonald's Coke, there's just something special about it. Now that we've talked about Sonic and their drive-thru, Lonzo, you're an OHIO guy. Have you ever heard of a restaurant called Swenson's?
Absolutely. Love Swenson's.
You know Swenson's.
Oh, yeah. Big fan of Swenson's. By the way, you would be a big fan of Swenson's, especially, I believe it's called the Earthquake. Has like 8 to 10 scoops. It's one of those, if you can eat it yourself, you get a t-shirt.
Ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we would go in and split, like 4 of us. Some people wouldn't be able to handle it because, ice cream melts and you might get some of their ice cream on your ice cream because of the spoon, usually family. But we would split the cost and get a ton of ice cream. Yeah.
I like that.
One last thing. They have a train that would go around the top of
okay, that's cool.
The inside. Yeah,
I like that
it's really cool.
Here's the reason I bring up Swenson's, because last weekend, somebody took Cleveland Browns starting quarterback Jameis Winston to a Swenson's for the first time.
The tray can be on the window? On the window. What? Oh my gosh. So we get to keep this tray on our window. It can be our secret. Okay. One thing that we did desire, we wanted to try the Ohio cherry soda.
Yeah.
And we would like to try the California grape soda. Okay. This is the coolest thing ever. Like, I ain't never seen no tray that just stick on your window.
And they bring it to your car.
That's what I'm saying. They bring a tray to your car and they put it on your window.
Jameis blown away by a tray that hooks onto your window.
By the way, our Swenson's growing up, there's only like 2. There's probably a ton there now. In the Columbus area. They didn't have they were like storefront things, but they were really, really, really good. I miss Swenson's.
I believe it. And you've won over Jameis Winston.
Better than Dairy Queen, and I grew up Dairy Queen all the time. Yeah, just because. Yeah.
So did I. I've been Team DQ my whole life. DQ is a road trip must stop for me. There are two spots. Whenever we left town, my dad hit 2 spots. He hit the Crystal for a sack of Crystal Burger, and we hit the DQ to get the vanilla ice cream cone that they dip into the hard shell chocolate.
Yeah.
Those were the go-tos.
Yeah, peanut butter parfait, if we could afford it. There was one in Obet's. Look it up. They have like a pumpkin festival.
I just love Jameis Winston losing his mind over a tray that hooks onto your window. Spectacular. All right, when we come back, the legendary Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation Podcast joins us here on the show to talk a little Panther football. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Swenson's was a little pricey, though, especially for, that's why we split the cost on the thing. Okay, I had to look up the earthquake because I want to make sure that I was right. And here's what they say. The earthquake, the earth-shaking extravaganza combining 8 scoops of old-fashioned ice cream and rich toppings, chocolate fudge, butterscotch, hot caramel, strawberry, pineapple jam, marshmallow cream, almonds, whipped cream, and cherries. It's all in a bowl, a really big bowl. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the Ziggy Piggy, when they ate that, that's what it's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought there was a Swenson's near Myrtle Beach.
All right, guys, we're going to step away for just a minute, get Rashad set up. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
the menu. The lasagna is huge, though. It's really good.
What's up, world traveler?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, brother? How was the trip?
It was great. Good times. Good times.
I saw you got to hook up with some fans internationally.
Yeah, man. It was good times, man.
Awesome.
A lot of people recognized me and Dave, and got to hook up with a lot of the legends. It was fun, man. It's good times.
By the way, just so y'all know,
I want to know what the food's like there.
Just so y'all know, I plan on asking that.
Okay, all right.
Just so y'all know, at the Saints game a couple of weeks ago, text Rashad, I'm like, yo, what bar are we meeting at halftime? He goes, hang on, I got to go meet Chris Gamble first. Like, just drops it on my head. I'm just going to meet a Panther Hall of Famer. I'll get to you when I can get to you.
Well, when an ex-Buckeye comes calling, you got to go.
Shout out to Chris Gamble, man. One of the most underrated Panthers in the world.
I don't disagree. The dude was a baller. Thursdays at 8:40, we take it right up the road to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we welcome in the host of your source for Panthers Talk, the Panther Nation Podcast, which you can follow on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, you need to drop them a follow on the YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. Rashad Beard joins us every Thursday at 8:40. And look, we're going to go through all the stuff he got to go over to Germany, watch the Panthers put 2 wins in a row together. My God, the world is on fire right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But I forgot. I meant to tell this story last week. Midway through the Panther-Saints game, because Rashad and I have a tradition. It's 4 years running now. When the Saints play up in Charlotte, I go up there. We meet up at halftime. We do a couple of shots of whiskey and chat and talk it up or whatever. Talk a little smack back and forth. Didn't do much of that this year. But, we have some fun. I texted Rashad with about 7-8 minutes left in the half. I'm like, yo, this is where I'm at. Where are you at? Where's a bar in the middle we can meet up? And my man goes, hang on, BRB. Got to go meet Chris Gamble real quick. Dude, just dropping on my head that I'm second place because he's just going to chat it up with the Panthers legend. What up, Shad?
Yo, what's going on, guys, man? Salute to Chris Gamble, man. That's a good guy. Don't see him very often, so you got to take advantage of that one. So I had to go see Chris.
I respect it. Listen, there's a lot of dudes that if you go, yo, I got to go meet somebody first, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it.
It's Buckeyes over Rob.
But it's Chris Gamble.
Anytime any Buckeye wants, I'm going to meet that Buckeye before I go meet Rob.
That's fair.
I mean, come on.
That's fair. How was Germany, bro?
Germany was great, man. Amazing experience. Got to take my family out there. It was really good times. Travel was a bit rough. Not by the flights or anything. It was just long flights. All the plans went accordingly. So thankful for no delays or anything like that. But yeah, man, really good times. Salute to Germany, Bavaria. Great times, man. Great times.
Yeah. I love to hear that. And listen, we're going to get to the football here in just a minute, but Lonzo wanted to ask, and so did I. How was food?
I mean, food was okay. I'm not traveling to Germany for food per se. And I got some schnitzel, got some bratwurst, stuff like that.
I've never had schnitzel before, and so I mean, what does schnitzel taste like?
Oh, it's just a flat piece of chicken. Fried
Is
chicken.
it really?
That's all it is.
That's all. I'm disappointed.
Why?
I've never looked it up to see what it was.
You didn't know what it is, but you're disappointed.
No, because I thought it would be more German.
No, you take it, you pound it real thin, and then you bread it and fry it, basically.
Wow.
And it's freaking delicious for the record.
At home.
Good.
Okay. Good. All right. Fine.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some Panther football with Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation Podcast. The boys put back-to-back dubs together, one at home against the Saints, one over in Deutschland over the New York Giants. And listen, Rashad, I said this on Monday. I don't care if it's against two of the worst teams in the game. You put back-to-back dubs together, now you're laying a foundation. And I've said this to you a whole bunch of times this season. I feel better about your team than mine because you can see the quagmire that's ahead of my team. I have said all year, I see a foundation being laid for you guys. I see the silver lining. I see draft plans shaping up. I see a head coach that looks to me to be progressively more confident week to week. And I think this win was the result of that. It's not, I don't care if the Giants are 2 and whatever. I don't care if they stink. You guys closed out the damn game that you very easily could have given away. And there's something to be said about that for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we can pick apart where these teams rank and where I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Like as bad as we've been recently, Panther fans should be happy with the win, and we should not overanalyze the fact that it was the Giants and the Saints. We've lost to those teams. We've lost to worse teams. In the past, we were that team. We were that team that was supposed to get beat by everybody. So we should not be, be down on ourselves because we beat bad teams. You're supposed to beat these bad teams. Nobody says that when the Chiefs are, hey, they're 8-0, right? But they're squeaking it out, right? No, and nobody's talking about that, right? Let's just get the dubs. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and I'm okay with that. And listen, that game we can nitpick about it. The Giants game, it shouldn't have been close. We were in control of that game largely throughout the entire game. We let it get close, and it is what it is. But I'm taking the dub, man. And I agree with everything you're saying. The coaching is getting better. Bryce is getting better. We're starting to get healthier, and so things are starting to shape up. And I'm happy with where we are.
I don't want to take this whole interview, as so many of them that we have done this year, Rashad, and spend 10 minutes on Bryce Young and then sprinkle in the rest. I'd like to get everything else that happened, but obviously you have to talk about QB1 that you were this invested in. And the point that I made on Monday, and I'm curious to get your reaction to it, was Bryce Young looked like an efficient game manager. 15 to 25, 150 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, none that even really felt like they were close to getting picked off. Probably, I think I counted 3 drops that probably would have made it closer to like 18 of 25 for maybe $190. Maybe he touches that 200-yard mark. Maybe one results in another touchdown. You get into the red zone, whatever. The dude has progressed from guy that I don't know if I bench him every week to this is an efficient enough game manager that if we have better talent around him at the wide receiver corps specifically, once John Brooks get healthy, he gives you another option to catch the ball out of the backfield. This is a dude I trust to go out there and handle his business and let the team win games. And that's the next step on that journey to being the guy. I was thrilled with what I saw out of Bryce Young. He just handled the game as it came to him.
Yeah, 1,000% agree. He's getting more confident. Though his pocket presence has improved. He's getting rid of the football, making good decisions. So the stat line, I mean, we can analyze the stat line. It wasn't great, but that nobody cares, right? When you look at the way the game plan was put together and what we were able to do on the ground, which, Rob, we come up here every week and we talk about, hey, you got to run the ball. And so Chuba has a career game and we're complaining about Bryce Young's, stat line. It just doesn't make sense. We took advantage of what was given to us. We took all of our what we wanted on the ground, right? And so that's what the game plan was. Let's not nitpick about Bryce Young we only had 100 and some yards and he's never going to reach 250. And it's we get into these nitpicky conversations that the goalpost continues to move with Bryce. Did he take care of the football? Yes. Did he get sacked? We got sacked one time. Brian Burns, naked bootleg. He came unblocked. It is what it is. But he's not putting the football in harm's way. And that's what we expect out of Bryce. He's more confident. He's making those deep throws, right? That was another complaint. Oh, we can't throw the football deep. It's getting there. And like you said, there were some drops. Shout out to my man, Jalen Coker, who had a drop touchdown, right? That was another dime that was dropped. And so we have to take these things into account and look past just the stat line.
Do not disagree at all. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation Podcast joins us here on the show. And obviously, you talked about Chuba career day. Wanted to get to that because this is something that even Lonzo and I have agreed on this, and that's becoming progressively more rare the longer we do this show. We're like grumpy old men at this point, and that is run the damn ball. Run the damn ball and let the run game dictate you. You did that. You have been saying over and over, I want 25 for Chuba Hubbard. I want 24. It got to, I think, 28 this weekend, and it paid off and benefited. And I said a number of times earlier this week, to me, the fact that Bryce Young looks so more successful is because linebackers were having to stay honest. Defensive linemen couldn't just see ball, get ball because it was in the hands of number 9. It opened up that offense to allow Bryce to play within it. And this is the other thing that comes with that. Bryce Young's a guy that when he's confident in that pocket, that ball looks so much better coming out. That is all unlocked by having Chuba do what Chuba does. I think it was a good move to sign him to that 4-year. I think it's we know Miles Sanders had to leave. Looks like it was an ankle tweak that's going to have him back when he's ready. But you guys activated John Brooks, which means he's coming too. I like the options that are on the table for the rest of this season.
Yeah, man, it's looking good, man. And salute to Chuba, man. That's a guy that's gotten progressively better year over year over year. His hands were bricks when he first got here, and he's gotten better. He's on the jug machine after practice. If you go to training camp, you watch him, he's the last one to leave because he's on that jug machines constantly. And so he's gotten better, and he's earned that contract, man. There was nobody more disappointed in the pick when it occurred than me, right? Taking running back, taking Chuba. I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest. But, man, he has paid off, and he's earned that contract. He's playing very well. He's gotten better. His vision's better. He's more patient runner, just really, really good. And for him to get paid and then have a career day on top of that, man, how many times do we see guys that get paid and they just they hit the couch and I don't want to play anymore, their play falls off. No, Chuba delivers a career game. I love it. He's getting better, and like you said, man, Jonathan Brooks is on his way too. I know Miles Sanders got injured, and, it is what it is there. But Jonathan Brooks being activated is awesome for this team, and we're going to see a little bit of double trouble here. Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Stephen Davis, Deshaun Foster is coming with these two guys, and so I really like it.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up that Thunder Lightning combo. Listen, I feel uniquely positioned to address the Panthers in this market because as a lifelong Saints fan, I paid attention to y'all probably more than anybody else with the exception of the Saints and the Atlanta Falcons, but sharing division from the other point of view, when you guys ran that combo of running backs, the Thunder Lightning combo a number of years ago, I hated it. Hated it as a Saints fan because it's like once you start going in one direction, they just flip and go the other way with that running back. It feels like you are set up for that with Chuba and John Brooks, assuming he's healthy, assuming that knee allows him to play like he did at Texas. That feels like a problem.
It will be. It will be a problem. And I was a little concerned about Chuba being here long-term because they drafted Jonathan Brooks. And obviously we locked them up. So these two guys will be together for the next 4 years. We don't know what's going to happen with Miles Sanders. I know he got injured, and prayers to him. Hope he gets better. But, man, this combo of Jonathan Brooks, they have very similar skill sets too. So it's not like you're going to take one off the field and you get predictable, right? These guys both are capable of doing damage out of the backfield and in the receiving game. So I love it, man. I love this backfield, and it's going to be really, really good moving forward.
Talk to me about your thoughts on the offensive line, because one of the other things I noticed in this game, or at least what I read into this game, it looked to me like the offensive line strategy was almost simplified a little bit. And obviously it's going to be when you're going into the run game. I mean, you can start to throw in some counters and some pulls and some draws and all that. But at the end of the day, when you got a guy like Chuba, to me, man, just run the ball. Let's go maul them. Let's go on the line of scrimmage. It looked to me like a more simplified offensive line blocking scheme. We're just going to push you back. We're going to get Chuba his 2.5 yards worth of push, and then what he does after that's on him. And I thought at offensive line that has taken a lot of heat the last couple of years, probably justifiably. In this game, they just owned the Giants up front and it opened the door.
Yeah, and let's not forget here, the Giants, if they have any strengths, it is that defensive line. Dexter Lawrence is a problem, and he was largely neutralized, right? And so we got to give this offensive line a ton of credit, and they're banged up. Nobody's talking about the fact that we lost Austin Corbett for the year, right? And K. May slides to the center position, and there's no drop off. Matter of fact, looking at the numbers, there's some improvement there. Right. And then not only that, you got Icky that's out, and Brady Christensen slides to the left tackle. He's doing a great job, but he's not better than Icky. Right. And so when we're not even healthy, and they're doing damage. So that offensive line, man, I give them all the credit in the world, and salute to the offensive line coach that came from Tampa. He has some really good good talent over in Tampa, and we're starting to elevate ours a little bit over here. And salute, man, Robert Hunt, man, those two signings, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, will probably go down two of the best signings in Panther history. These guys are coming in.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt because I want you to finish that thought. But the one of the ones that jumped out to me, that touchdown run from Chuba Hubbard down real close. Those two boys steamrolled that. I kept waiting to hear Brian Burns. You're like, this is Brian Burns' revenge game, right? Like this is his opportunity to go out there and kind of put. You heard his name like 2 times, and it's because every time he made a rush, Hunt and Lewis were just steamrolling dudes at the point of attack, and it was fun to watch, bro.
Yeah, it's fun, man. If you go back and look at Chuba Hubbard's long run, and you look at Robert Hunt running down the field and just pancaking folks, man, that's Panther football, man. That's what Panther football has been about, and that's why I'm glad they finally were able to run the football like they did. Now, do I want Chuba running the ball 28 times? I think it's a bit much. Let's find a happy medium of 20. I'll be happy with that. Prior to that, I was getting about 15 carries. So let's spread it around a little bit. We don't want to Christian McCaffrey him. We don't want to overuse him, get him hurt. So let's be careful with that. You got to find a happy medium. But the run game is where it's at. That's the strength of this team. And now we're getting into the sense of where Dave Canales was talking about earlier. Sticking to that run game. You're going to be frustrated with how committed to the run game I am. Yes, that's what we wanted to see. And that's what we saw against the Giants. And it worked out very much so.
All right, real quick, got about 30 seconds left. We've almost been kind of neglecting talking about the defense, and a lot of that is because how many guys are banged up and out for the year. It's almost like a lot of this defense ain't going to carry over because a lot of guys are reserves, practice squad guys that are just depth spots because you got so many dudes hurt. But the dudes that are out there balling out in this game, listen, Danny Dimes ain't that good, but if you give him time, he'll drop dimes on you. I was impressed, especially down the stretch. You got a couple of turnovers, including one in overtime that won you the damn football game. I think you got to give flowers. Even if a lot of these guys aren't going to be on the field next year, you got to give flowers to what they did in Munich.
Yeah, you got to start with DJ Wanham, too. DJ Wanham is a guy we picked up in the offseason. We hadn't seen him all year dealing with some issues with that quad injury. And, man, he came back with a vengeance, bro. Like he's the pass rusher we've been waiting to see. Had a sack, had a fumble, ton of tackles, a lot of pressures. That's what we needed to see out this defense. So people that were critical of Evero just need to pump the brakes a little bit. We weren't healthy. You're still missing Derrick Brown. We'll just wait until we get Derrick Brown back. Wait till we get Shaq Thompson back potentially. So we're still not even healthy. And so all that to say, man, we got to be a little patient. Things are trending upwards, and I love it. Salute to DJ Wanham. Happy to see him back.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation Podcast. You can find them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, get to YouTube. Go search, go subscribe, go turn that bell on because they go live all the time, even when they are traveling the damn world on the other side of the planet. Rashad makes time to make sure he's bringing you all the latest Panther news and info. My dude, glad you made it. Glad you had a good time. Glad you're back safe, brother. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you guys. See you next
week. Anytime, and every time. My man Rashad Beard joining us here every Thursday at 8:40 to talk Panther football with us, and we appreciate it. When we come back, Hatin Ass Mario from the BetQL Network talks NFL Fight Club with the great one Lonzo. That's after the great one Lonzo gives you this sports flash.
It's a whole lot of great right in a row. Glad to be a part of this show. After an 8-game winning streak, the Carolina Hurricanes have dropped 2 of the last 3 with a 4-1 loss to the Utah Hockey Club last night. I don't know if that's what they're called, the Utah Hockey. Okay, that's stupid. Awesome. The Canes allowed just 21 shots while taking 50, though UHC, which is better, goalie Carol Vajimenka had an incredible night, stopping 49. Carolina returns to the ice Saturday night against the Senators. This is a dumb name for it. Jeez. We are just a day away from boxing history as a knockout machine. Iron Mike Tyson takes on the most punchable face in boxing, Jake Paul. Stay tuned right here for the hype leading up to the fight, which goes down tomorrow night, and we'll be talking about it in about 20 minutes. Tune in tomorrow at 6:30 as Vernon Mountains take on the Tulane Green Wave in hardcourt action right here on the Fan Upstate. By the way, our last chance this season to go to the Ren Fair is the 24th, 23rd and 24th. It's sold out this weekend, so we couldn't go this weekend.
This month, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, there's only the 20.
Two left, right?
Yeah. Like I said, this weekend's completely sold out.
Yeah.
So it'd be the following weekend.
Let me look at that today. I really do want to go.
I mean, it'd be going on the last day, but it opens at 9:30.
I bet the last day's a blowout, though.
Also, people want to sell some of their stuff
Yeah.
because they won't be back till So we could
All that expendable income.
go
we're
there,
rolling around
be
with.
there at 9:30. You could still be back
yeah.
in time to watch football. Is what I'm saying. I mean, on Sunday.
This is gonna get me judged. I'd give up football for a day if it's good, and I've heard it's fantastic.
Well, it is, but a couple hours in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
What up, Mario?
What is this event?
A Renaissance fair.
And you're gonna give up football for that?
If it's good, yeah.
It's like an amusement park. It's there. It's been there for a really long time, and it's
okay.
It's
Yeah,
not
this is
like
it's like a big deal. It's not
They-
like a
It's like a tradition. It's not like a
established-
pop up.
Yeah.
no. They
that
have
makes more sense.
falconers. They have actual jousting. Yeah, stuff like that. So
Okay, so it's like legit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
got that guy you can throw tomatoes at. He's got a headset mic, and Duke can insult. He's been on local news and stuff. He's so good at it. Really good.
And away we go. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo with you. And we turn our attention once again to the stream, because joining us, as he does every Thursday at 9 a.m., he is an NBA and NFL analyst for the BetQL Network, also the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you can hear every weeknight right here on this very station and fine Odyssey stations around the country. My man, Hatin Ass Mario. Mario Heron joins us here on the show. What's up, big dog?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How are we doing on a great Thursday?
We're fantastic, except
Brain
it's
fart.
Thursday. There he is.
Wow.
Hey, look, his hair is dry, and this is the most awesome Mario's hair has looked since he's been coming on this program.
Listen, the one thing
that's-
the one thing I've always given Mario a compliment for is he's got good flow, man. He's got a good set of hockey hair on him.
I will say this: I have no idea what I'm doing with my hair. So every time there's like a good hair day, I'm always like, I don't know how I did that. And then the next day I try to do it the same way, and it turns out completely different. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? You gotta roll with the punches.
What a first world problem you're dealing with here, bud.
I know. I'm sure a lot of people do not care about that problem.
Yeah, nope, not even a little bit. What a hell of a way to start the
you know
interview.
who doesn't care about that? The bald people.
That's true. That's true.
That's
Hey,
true.
Naz Mario joining us here on the show. Let's talk a little NFL. If we can sneak some NBA in at the very end, we will, Mario. But let's start with this. And I didn't set you up for this, but I do want to start with it. And that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who call the butthole of America, Jacksonville, Florida, their home. I already thought it was going to go real bad for this team. I want to play a quick little bit of audio here. This is Jags coach Doug Peterson being asked what happened, what went wrong on that Mac Jones hilariously bad INT that ended the game. He got asked about it in a presser, and this is what it sounded like.
What was the play? What was supposed to happen on the final Mac interception if he didn't get hit and throw the pick?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the details of the play because you guys wouldn't figure it out. But we'll look at the tape tomorrow and we'll make those corrections.
Dude's cooked, right?
Yeah, he's more than cooked. I mean, he's been cooked all season long. Him even like calling out at one point, wasn't it last week? They were calling out he was making fun of Sam Darnold, saying like Sam Darnold's like not that good of a QB. Like I'm putting words in his mouth, but that was like the gist of it. Look, that team's they're falling apart. They were the team that, just over a year ago, people were like talked about because of the record in the division. They're like, oh, there could be the team that have the best record in the NFL. And they go, fellas, if you really want to joke and play little impractical jokers, we're about to have one of the worst teams in the league. Like that, team's cooked. It's done. Trevor Lawrence is out again this week. More injuries are happening to that team. Also, is Trevor Lawrence the guy for you really in the future in the long haul? I don't know. But yeah, it's Doug Peterson's out. They'll be looking for a new head coach. And I'll be honest with you, it's like a little appetizing if I'm like an offensive guy.
I don't hate it. And that was going to be kind of the next question I asked was obviously right around the corner from Clemson. A lot of folks around here following the career of your hair buddy, Trevor Lawrence, and his tenure with the Jags. I have said for a while, I think we've seen the flashes. I don't know that I'm going to jump on the parade of people saying, oh, this guy's a generational quarterback, but he has won all the time. I think he didn't lose his 5th career game until he got to Jacksonville. I think the dude can play, and I think he's NFL talent. I don't know if he's elite NFL talent, but I think he's good enough. And I think at some point, and I think the Bears are the illustration of this, man, at some point you got to find the tandem, and Doug Peterson ain't it. Do you think there's an NFL career in Trevor Lawrence?
So, I mean, like he had a rough start, right? He had a rough start with Urban Meyer as a head coach. That whole first year, you're like, all right, this is just an absolute disaster. So it's a tough start for him. Then he leads the epic comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs, and you think, all right, maybe there's something there. Then they barely lose to the Chiefs, and that game could have gone either way. And then if he does do that, let's be honest, guys, we would give him credit that for years to come. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, but we give him a lot, maybe a little too much credit for that Super Bowl run that he had 2-3 years ago now. I would say there is something there with Lawrence. I wouldn't give up on him yet. I would not write him off. I would not say, yeah, this was a terrible contract. It's not, in a Daniel Jones situation where you got to get off that money. You got to get off that QB, and you got to get him off the books quick. Because if you don't, you're going to just set your franchise back even more. I think he's a player. I think he's a QB that you can win football with. You can make it to the playoffs with. Contending the Super Bowl, I don't know. I think you're not going to need to build a lot of good pieces around him to do that. The good news, though, like the Jaguars, guys, you have Brian Thomas Jr., who's a very promising rookie receiver. So there's your connection that you have between a QB and a number one wideout that could last for years to come. You also have a very, very talented edge rusher on the other side of the football, and Josh Allen, I'm blanking the addition he threw onto his name. But strong edge rusher, strong receiver, strong QB. That's a pretty good foundation for a football team. You just got to keep building from there. You got to keep adding pieces. And you have to build through the draft because, let's be honest, it's very hard pitch in free agency to go, hey, come to Jacksonville. What's the pitch? It's not a good one, right? So can he win you a Super Bowl if the right guys are around him? Let's be honest. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. I think he'll always get you to compete in the playoffs, though. So
talking to Hatin Ass Mario Heron from the BetQL Network. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's stick on that for a minute. This Anthony Richardson thing, he gets benched for 2 weeks for. They're never going to say it's because he tapped out of that game, but we all know that's exactly why he did it. Shane Steichen said earlier in the week that he spent the 2 weeks that he was demoted to QB2 learning to be better prepared for games, to be a better on-field leader, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if that's true or not. I think they're bringing it back because they're playing the Jets. The Jets aren't good, and this is an opportunity to really kind of see if he did learn anything. Do you have any optimism? Do you have any hope for the future of Anthony Richardson, or are the Colts going to be looking for a new QB in the next year or two?
Well, first off, the decision just didn't make sense at all, right? Like it really didn't. You drafted a guy that's a project that hasn't played a lot of football, and then he gets hurt in his rookie year. So there goes a lot more playing time that he just didn't get. And then in the second year, you bench him and you tell him, we want you to learn. The only way that kid's going to learn is on the field, not on the sidelines. That's the only way he's going to do it. It was a terrible move to begin with. Then you play these past 2 games where you lose to the Vikings and you lose to the Bills. 2 games that they were in, they could have won those games. Let's be honest, but they fall short. Now you have the Jets, whose Jets are a disaster organization. I mean, my Lord, are they just god awful on every level. So it is a good moment to come back, I guess, and have a great game. But that Jets defense is no slouch. It's not like that Jets defense is very weak. And Anthony Richardson, yes, do I think there's a future there? Maybe, but I'm gonna lean on no. he has the worst passer rating in the NFL among starting QBs, worst expected completion percentage, and his completion percentage as a whole is the worst amongst all starting QBs. His aggressiveness is 6th in the NFL. I would not want my QB that has not played a lot 6th in the NFL in aggressiveness. Go for the, dump downs. Come on. We don't really need to fill it. Slick it in there in a tight gap. So I would keep it simple, stupid. I think the Colts are going to look for a QB this upcoming draft because something tells me that Shane Steichen's not committed to a quarterback that he just benched. And very rarely in history do you get benched, get brought back in, extended, win Super Bowls, win playoff games. It rarely ever happens. He's a project, and they gave up on it.
All right, couple of teams that have gone through some coaching changes this week. We will start. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this because it is an interim tag, but the Saints finally get rid of Dennis Allen and do what I told him to do last off season. Darren Rizzi steps in. He gets a win as the interim head coach. What the hell does this team do? They're going to be in cap hell, and I do think this is the offseason. Like Mickey Loomis has said, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing, which is just kind of keep rolling the cap down the line. And honestly, like I've heard a lot of people go, you can't do that forever. At some point, the bill comes due. It hasn't yet, but the problem is in return for the bill not coming due, you're playing with a bunch of guys like Cam Jordan who are very aged, and you're playing with a bunch of young guys that maybe aren't the talent you want because you've given up a lot of draft capital as well. Is it hard reboot time with my team? And if that is the case, does that eliminate you from names like Ben Johnson coming down to be the new HC?
I think it eliminates you from guys like Ben Johnson if you stay in the direction you're going. If you stay in this, push it down the line, because what coach wants that? What coach wants that situation? A hard reset was due last year, that's when it honestly should have been done when Drew Brees retired and Sean Payton left. That's when the hard reset should have been done, right? Like, hey, let's move on from this generation. Let's close this chapter. This was fun. Let's move on now. That's when it should have been done. Now, yes, it's going to be tough, but if I'm a, guy that's in for the job, it's like, all right, but like, in a rebuild, in a reset, I get to really implement what I want to implement, really do what I want to do, right? Really establish the culture I want to establish. And as long as you're on the same page with the GM and, the owner that, hey, it's going to look a little bit brutal, but there's a plan in sight, you're good. And like Ben Johnson, he was there with Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell came in. It was a hard reboot, right? Like they traded away Stafford. They get Goff. They're a couple good draft picks later. Look where they're at. He's seen it before. Maybe there's a little bit of, I'm not saying Ben Johnson's going to go there, but like there's proof in the pudding a little bit. That's more appetizing to a head coach, a candidate than, hey, we're stuck in purgatory and we have a bill that we got to pay that we just keep pushing off. And it's like, I don't know if I want to be a part of that. I don't know if I want to lead that and then keep just doing rental quarterbacks the whole time.
I want to ask you about this. Rashad Beard, who is our guest that comes on and talks Panthers every week, he and I agreed on a philosophy that if you are a team, and especially a team that is maybe bottom third of the league and trying to get turned around, the draft is the weapon, right? And my argument has always been a team's got to be made up of three parts. It's got to be made up of good veteran leadership. It's got to be made up of a bunch of mid-tier guys that provide you with depth when a dude goes down. And you've got to have like a 30-year team made up of good young players that you got cheap because they're on rookie contracts. And that's where the draft comes in, which is why teams like the Lions, like the Patriots for so many years under Bill Belichick, et cetera, like the Chiefs, are good because they stock and then they nail the draft when it comes around. Do you agree with that philosophy that the draft is the most important weapon for teams that are trying to take their trajectory upwards, that the draft is their best friend in that case?
It's always your best friend. It starts and ends at the draft. If you don't draft well, you're not going to play well, right? Like the whole, you're not going to buy every player, everything you want in free agency. That's just not how that works. And look at a lot of teams that do like the quick turnarounds because they draft. They draft great. Look at the Texans turn last year. They nailed the draft. You got Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. Boom, you're going to a different place. The Lions, I just mentioned them. You go Gibbs, that's a good draft pick. Penei Sewell is a good draft pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown. are now staples of your organization that gets turned around and like, all right, now we're going somewhere. And if you want to do like a little small trade to maybe even bump it up even more, you do a small trade to bump it up even more. Kansas City did that too. What they developed their young talent, they continued to do that. And every draft, it's like, gosh, they got that guy. Like, you kidding me? Xavier Worthy. That guy's, I'm telling you, going to be a top 5 receiver in the league in next 2 years because he's Patrick Mahomes and is good in a strong system. It is your best friend. Always go through the draft. Buying in free agency helps, but doesn't, explode your team to the next level. So I'm a firm believer in that. And, learn from other teams that do that too. Just learn and just look around the league. The Chargers are a great organization too that's doing that right now. They're building everything through the draft. They're not buying at any point, even though I want them to buy at the deadline. That would have been nice. They're going, no, we're just going to keep our draft capital and keep building what we're doing and draft our guys.
All right, 60-second answer here, Hatin Ass Mario. The Commanders. I'm a big fan. I got a ticket out on them to win the NFC East. I got a ticket out on Jaden Daniels to be the Rookie of the Year. I think one of those two looks good. First half of the season, the schedule was super easy for the Commanders. They ran up 7 wins out of the first 9. Also do it against 7 of the bottom teams in the NFL. Did I overestimate this team, or do you think this team can? And they've got a showdown tonight with the Eagles that may go a long way in answering this question. Can this team win that division?
They can, and I don't think they have to necessarily win tonight because it's in Philly. Just split with Philly. I think that's perfectly fine. And they're scheduled to finish the way. It's tough, but it also helps you a lot. You have the Cowboys at home. Cowboys are disaster level of the Jets right now. They're terrible. They have a coach that's already fired. Mike McCarthy's not coming back. I don't even know what he's doing there anymore. Dude, just sit at home. Just go home. Enjoy time with your family on Sundays. Then you have the Titans on top of that. Titans are in a crisis themselves. You have Saints who are an interim head coach, and by that time, the interim, bump that you see in gambling is going to be worn off. Then you have the Eagles. If you can take out the Eagles at home, which I think they can, that's a very, very good spot. And then you have the Falcons to finish, and then Cowboys to end the season. They could very much so to finish the year, maybe lose 1 or 2 games. That's very reasonable. They're in a great spot, man. I think that was a great ticket. That was a great purchase by you. And, a lot of things are going well for this team. I think it's going to continue to go in that direction. What happens with them in the playoffs? I would fade. I would fade. Right away in the first playoff matchup that they get, I would fade because a rookie QB versus any team in that NFC, I think is going to fall short.
Don't have any issue with that. Hatin Ass Mario. Mario Heron is the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you can hear every weekday night right here from 7 until 11 p.m. on the Fan Upstate and Fine Odyssey stations everywhere. He is also an NBA and NFL analyst for the BetQL Network. Joins us every Thursday at 9 o'clock to talk a little footy. And, of course, as we move forward, we'll start morphing into basketball as well. My man, appreciate you as always, big dog. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Love you.
That was a very aggressive
thank
you.
You didn't get what he did. He wanted the hair to move. I saw. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't get that. So it was a power move. That's what that was.
It makes sense now. It does. Do you sit around and take selfies of yourself all day when you have a good hair day? I feel like you're totally that guy.
Not selfies. I mean, I guess it is a selfie, but you go on Snapchat a little harder.
There it is. That checks out entirely. You absolute millennial.
We'll to send to potential soulmates.
Okay. Oh God.
Have a heart, Rob. Gee.
Yeah.
I do. I've been trying to make this kid's life better for 4 years, and he's still trying to get soulmates on Snapchat.
You would think your life is better because he's in it.
I would argue that you sending me to restaurants dressed up as the Crow, a movie that half of the population doesn't even know, has not helped me in any way.
Have you made better bets because of that?
No, because I ate 12 donuts in 12 minutes.
Talk to you next week, fella. Appreciate you. Yeah. Mario Heron from the BetQL Network. We're back with Fight Club after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I nailed it. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because they put music behind the liner. What a beautiful day out there.
Isn't it?
Take a nap.
All right, guys, give me just a minute. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Fight Club's up next.
All right, it's time to do the Fight Club today. The fight club that Rob has been dreading.
I was going to say, why is this the one I've been
now,
least looking forward to for years?
There is a fight that I've been waiting for a year, maybe a year and a half, and it will take place Saturday. We're going to get to the other thing in a minute, okay? Saturday, the first UFC pay-per-view I'm going to buy in a while because John Jones, who currently sits with a record of, if I can read it without my glasses on. Oh, no. It's 27-1-0 in that one, and with a couple of no contests in there. And Stipe Miocic, even though I printed it out, did not go on there. He's pretty good too. So Stipe versus John Jones. This is the match I wanted to see for a while now. Because the thing is, John
Jones
lose
lose some luster though.
They lost a lot,
taking so long
because they kept putting the thing off. But who's out there who's got a shot of beating him? Maybe Aspinall, and he says he won't fight that guy, which makes it sound like he's scared of him. But Stipe ain't fought in forever either. But you do have a former champ fighting the current champ who had the belt handed to him. And we'll see if it's a legitimate fight. It's worth my money if there's a chance, however infinitesimal it may be, that John Jones may get the crap knocked out of him and see stars.
But
That's
let's call it what it is. That's all this fight is. It's can Stipe land one on the chin and put him out?
Oh, for sure.
John Jones is a -650 favorite. I'll put it this way. If this was any other main event, and I looked it up, and the main event had the favorite at -650, that's not a main event to me. That's a at the best a co-main event, and at the best featuring a star that's on its way out. Right.
All right. There was no chance. I don't remember what the odds were when Stipe went up against Daniel Cormier for the second time. I think it was the second time when he won.
But again, it's the same concept. It is, if he's going to win this fight, it's not because you're going to get 3, 4, 5 rounds of a great fight that it's back and forth and you're edge of the seat the whole time. It is going to be John Jones in control of this fight up until and if Stipe Miocic can land a power right that puts him night-night. And that's the only way that Stipe Miocic, he's not going to out-grapple John Jones. He's not going to out-wrestle him. He's not going to out-jiu-jitsu him. He's not going to out-Muay Thai him. He's not going to out-box him. It is very simple. Does he land a puncher's chance and create a memorable ending? Because that's the only way that a +450 favorite is beating the Prodigy.
This must be a feeling akin to what you feel when you bet, because this is a bet for me, spending the money for this, knowing that seconds into the fight, John Jones could just kill the whole night for me again by knocking Stipe out.
You know what? This is exactly that. You are betting $50 or whatever it is.
I think it's $70.
$70, whatever it is. You are betting the price of the pay-per-view that you will be entertained. I bet $50 on look, I'm not even betting this fight, right? The only justifiable bet here with Miocic is a +450 fighter. The only justifiable bet on this fight is Miocic +450 and taking that bet, just hoping he knocks him out. That's what you're hoping for. You are betting that you will be entertained by Stipe pulling an upset here with the full knowledge that, based on these betting odds, the likely outcome is that John Jones is going to outfight him for 3 or 4 rounds and then is going to submit him, or it's going to go to the distance and win a unanimous decision. But you're taking the +450 bet that Stipe Miocic does something that on Monday you go, I'm glad I watched because I got to see a bit of UFC history in person.
All right, so I believe that Stipe has a chance. It's a very small chance, but I believe he has a chance. And the fact that they both have not been doing anything for a long time, I think that gives him more of a chance. If they both were fighting a bunch, then I would give advantage for sure John Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what you can bank on, if you are betting the +450 underdog here in Stipe Miocic, you and I both know Stipe Miocic takes this crap for real. This is his life. He has never showed up for a fight carrying extra weight, looking slow, looking sluggish. He is always at the best he can be. Now, what's the best that he can be when he is, let's be real, towards the end of his career? what's the best that he can be when he is, God, how old is Stipe Miocic at this point? Like 42, 43.
Well, I think MMA, when you're like 35, you're in your prime.
Sure.
It's
but
weird.
he ain't. He's 43, 42. How good can he be? And then there's the flip side of that coin, which is there any element of John Jones that didn't take this camp seriously?
John Jones pretty old too.
Yeah,
by the way.
for sure.
Yeah.
But again, John Jones being what John Jones is, and he's 37. So he's closer to that 34, 35 range that we like, right? But is there any element of John Jones that isn't taking this camp for real, isn't taking this fight for real, is looking at that line of Stipe plus 450 and going, I got this? Because we all know John Jones ain't right in the head. That's been the thing that prevented him from being the GOAT.
And the most important thing, did the anger management that he's forced to take away some of his edge?
Sure. I mean, there's all the, and I do think that part of what you are betting on is I'm not going to, but if I was going to bet on this fight, part of what you and I are betting on the same thing, just putting our money different places. You're putting it into the pay-per-view ticket. I'm putting it onto a book to potentially make some money. But we're betting on the same thing, which is, does Stipe show up in the best shape he can be in at 42? And the answer is yeah, because that's all he's ever done. But on the flip side, does John Jones have any sort of mental hang-up that prevents him from being the best version of John Jones at 37 that causes him to make a mistake? Does he drop that right hand and open the jaw? Does Stipe end up with a shoot takedown that maybe wins him a shock round that changes the momentum of the fight? I don't know. That's what we're betting on. And again, I'll watch this fight for sure because it's John Jones. And as much as I dislike him as a guy away from the octagon, he's still one of the greatest to ever do it. And I will be absolutely rooting for Stipe Miocic.
Okay, and more than likely, I mean, the fight that will be worth the price of the pay-per-view, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, is the co-main.
Yeah.
So that's two big names. That's a big fight
and
right
better
there
odds.
too.
Michael Chandler's plus 200. Oliveira is minus 250. That's more in line with what I expect as main event odds. Honestly, I'm looking for the perfect ideal world is a minus 115 toss-up pick 'em fight. That fight's going to be good. And for the record, there's a lot of fights on this undercard that are interesting. Wellman Anders is an interesting undercard fight for me. That is a pick 'em fight. That's one of a couple of dudes that might be something one day. This is a good card if you are a fan, but the two main events are both interesting for different reasons, but both very interesting.
All right, let's get to it. You took your phone like you're going to leave the room, but I don't think you should. All right, tomorrow night, we know that Netflix is trying to get into sports. If we have time, there's a wrestling story that Netflix of who they want on Monday Night Raw. But tomorrow night, boxing starting out. I don't know if this is the order, but Shadaza Green versus Melinda Watpool for the vacant women's WBO super middleweight title tomorrow night. Also, Mario Barrios versus Abel Ramos. For Barrios' WBC welterweight title. All these are for boxing. The super lightweight title is on the line as Katie Taylor takes on Amanda Serrano for Taylor's IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO women's super lightweight title. I'm guessing she's pretty good since she has all those titles, but there's like 25 titles in boxing right now. And then finally, there's Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So this is a card full of actual boxing matches that you can't poo-poo because they're all for belts. Oh, you can if you want to.
No. Just so we're clear, it's a fantastic boxing card. It's a great card. If you were going to get me to buy this fight, I would. Here's what I'll probably do Saturday night. I will probably watch all the way up to the main event and then tune right back out. Now, the only issue I have with that is if I watch 90% of the card and not watch Tyson Paul, it still gets my eyeballs. It still clicks the ratings box for them.
I didn't pull the audio, but Mike Tyson said he has a chance for his kids to see he's not a joke, that he is something. And I'm loosely quoting that. And he's very serious. He's also, you could say he's an actor. I mean,
there is, I will give you this. I will give you this. There is one thing that piqued my interest. One thing. At their press conference, because they've done 3 or 4, and the majority of them are dumb. Paul came out with a freaking rooster head sticking out of his hair one day. I'm like, you're not even a good pro wrestling guy. If somebody did this on Monday Night Raw, I'd turn off.
We saw that when he tried to help at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
not good. Yeah.
I'd tune right back out. All right, right back out. There is one thing that caught my interest. In the presser, Mike Tyson, and I didn't see the setup. I just saw that what Mike said. But in the presser, Mike got to talking like on a personal level with some of the people that were in the room. And a lot of guys were just telling him, like, yeah, you're 58 years old. We're picking Jake Paul to win this fight. And Mike was like, I will bet anyone in this room who wants a bet, I will make the bet I win this fight. And like appeared, and again, can say he's an actor. He has acted. His role in The Hangover is one of the greatest comedy cameos of all time. But he made it sound deadly serious that he was willing to take out a very expensive bet with anyone in the game who wanted to make a bet with him that he would win that fight. And it is the only thing in the year and a half we've been waiting for. Y'all have been waiting for this fight. It is the only thing in a year and a half that I went, maybe he is being for real.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to do something that you ask me all the time. Put aside all the feelings and everything, and just looking at this from an analytical level. If Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul,
we never hear from Jake Paul again.
Is the boxing resurgence, renaissance, the interest of the youth? By the way, around this building, a lot of people excited about it. And when I talked about the fights coming on this weekend, my daughter's like, "Oh, you mean Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson?" I was like, "No, I was talking about Stipe versus John Jones." And she's been more of an MMA fan. So people from her age group, T2 from who's been on the station some, he looking forward to watching it. Paige from the Rise Guys looking forward to watching. So there are people scattered throughout this building who want to see this. If Tyson knocks him out, does this kill all that?
If you are watching this fight and Jake Paul losing this fight causes you to not watch boxing anymore, you were never going to got in the first place. You're not a boxing fan, you're a Jake Paul fan. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's not okay. He's a gross person. Him and his brother are both gross people. But you're a Jake Paul fan, not a boxing fan, right? If you watch this fight and Jake Paul loses to a 58-year-old grandfather, and you go, okay, I'm done with this, you were never in the first place. You were in because you're following the career of a YouTube star. Again, that's fine. I'm good with that. There are a lot of social media influencers that I follow their career, not in boxing, but just in other aspects, as broadcasters, as whatever. But if you watch this and Mike Tyson wins this fight, whether it's a KO or a decision or whatever, which he won't because it's a money grab, but if he wins this fight and you go, I'm out, I'm not watching boxing anymore because Jake lost, then you're not a boxing fan. You're a Jake Paul fan. Okay. This is why I've been saying to you, this is not what saves boxing. It's not. Because the people who are tuning in to watch Jake Paul fight are not tuning in to watch boxing. They are tuning in for Jake Paul, and they're not going to stick.
So you and I are going to continue to disagree with that, and that's fine. Two more things. Jake Paul says when he wins this fight, he wants Canelo next. If he fights Canelo,
he will die.
If he fights Canelo, will you recognize him as a boxer?
If he fights, yes. If he fights Canelo Alvarez, I'll tell you right now, I'd buy that fight. You know why I'd buy that fight? Because Canelo Alvarez still makes money as a boxer, being a great boxer. And he ain't the same Canelo he was 5-6 years ago, but he's still one of the best in the world. If Jake Paul climbs in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, who is not, and I did the research on this, a 58-year-old grandfather, if he climbs in the ring with Canelo Alvarez and he fights that fight, one of two things happens. He either lasts with Alvarez, and I go, okay, he's a boxer now, or he gets his head knocked into outer space, and I go, ha ha, suck it, Jake Paul. I'm done with you.
Or he wins, and then you say Canelo Alvarez isn't what he used to be. That's the reason why he lost.
Again, I just said Canelo Alvarez right now, not the guy he was 5 years ago, still one of the best in the world. I still, to this day, buy Canelo Alvarez fights because he's a dog. If Jake Paul fights that guy, I will go, credit to you for getting in the ring and actually, because Canelo is not going to agree to a no knockout clause or any of that because he is still selling pay-per-views that he doesn't need Jake Paul for.
All right, one last thing, and this is a wrestling thing. Netflix wants Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Is this the end of the bloodline? They want them on Raw. Does this mean that Solo's bloodline wins?
First off, wanting them and getting them are different things. Like, oh, I know. And the question mark will be, is Netflix for it? Because we know, based on the fact that WWE is running an annual Saudi Arabian show that screws up every story they have going every year.
Not anymore. It's more, no, it's storyline related. Now.
It is storyline forced. It is storyline adjacent.
It's better than what it was in the beginning.
Absolutely, but still forced. If Netflix comes off $1 billion, yes, WWE will do whatever they can get to get that cheddar. We know that. But I think you have to, even if you accelerate it, you have to finish this story. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. No touching the hair or face. No punching Jake Paul in the face.
Hey, I want to watch this fight to see Jake Paul get punched in the face by Mike Tyson. I absolutely do. Do I want Jake Paul to win? No. I want Mike Tyson to knock him out in the first 20 seconds. I think that would be amazing. I do think it hurts the youth movement in boxing, though. And if he were to lose, he can say, hey, I know he's 58, but I lost to Mike Tyson. How many of you are willing to get in the ring with Mike Tyson at 58? Would you do it, Rob? No. What amount of money would you take to get in there with Tyson?
None. He would kill me. But do you know what I'm not? I'm not 25 and in the best shape of my life. Now, you probably could have talked 25-year-old in shape Rob Brown into trying it against a 58-year-old Tyson.
So Rob Brown, who's fresh out of being with Roy Jones Jr. and
you could have talked me into it.
Okay.
100%. If Mike Tyson was 58 then, right? You wouldn't have talked me into it with a 42-year-old Mike Tyson. But if Mike was 58 when I was working for Roy and around boxing and in the best shape of my life, you could have taught me into climbing in there for a couple $1 million and running the risk for sure.
Does anyone still have their Foreman grill?
I do. I absolutely. Not only do I have it, I still use it.
Do you really?
Oh, it's great, dude. Like, now, in fairness.
By the way, I've had one, so it's not like I haven't had one.
I got one when I was in college, and I still have it.
Just a mess after a while. Just didn't work for me.
Oh, so
the grease coming off the end of the thing. Yeah.
The secret to the Foreman grill is you got to clean that thing while it's still hot. When you're done cooking, you clean it before you eat. You have to, because if you let it bake on there, it's cooked. But it came with that little scraper that had the little things in it.
Yeah.
Right? Use it immediately while that stuff is still soft and hot. And use that grease tray. You forget that grease tray one time.
Yeah, I hate the grease tray is the problem for me because you think you got it right up against there and someone bumps it or something, and next thing you know, out on the counter you got Yeah, bad move by the Hulkster. Although, I don't know, would it have been as successful if the Hulk would have taken the grill? I don't know if it would have been.
Yeah,
I think Foreman's more likable, and I think it helps sell it.
I don't think at the time he was. I mean, Hulk Hogan. I do agree Foreman is a super likable dude. I met him twice, and he was super cordial both times. But the appeal of the Foreman grill was that you could feel like you were grilling your food and just do it in your kitchen. It was great. Now I will also say this.
See, have the air fryers made that passé? Because I think to a degree they have.
Now, I'll tell for me, my Foreman grill still gets used occasionally. But it gets used when I want a turkey burger and I'm lazy. Because I will always put a burger in a cast iron skillet and just cook it before the George Foreman. But there are times where it's 11:30 at night and I want a damn burger and I don't want to dirty up my kitchen, so put it on the Foreman grill. The Rob Brown Show wrapping up on a Friday. Nope, Thursday. I did it. Mario did it. Rashad did it. Lonzo's did it. We all got our days screwed up today.
I did it like at the beginning of the week. I know it's Thursday because Mario's here and Fight Club just happened, and because Rashad's on and Lulu. I know Thursday's our day.
I am shocked at and disappointed with myself that we did not get to this story earlier in the week. The Auburn basketball team. Did you hear this story? It's my favorite thing. The Auburn basketball team was on a flight. They had to go play in a away basketball game that required an airplane to get them where they needed to be. Well, a news story broke over the weekend that the Auburn basketball team's plane had to be diverted and returned back to Opelika, Alabama. And, of course, when you hear a story like that, you're like, uh-oh. What happened, right? Was there an issue? Did they lose an engine? Did something bad happen? Like, what happened? What went down? And then we actually got the audio from the air traffic controller. And I cannot emphasize enough, Lonzo, that this is the actual, I am not funny. And, you know, sometimes I set up audio and I play something and it's like, oh, that's a joke. That's good. This is the actual, legitimate, 100% authentic audio from the air traffic control tower.
We have got an altercation on board. We knocked to declare an emergency and land. We got a bunch of basketball players fighting. The flight deck is secure. The threat level is contained for the moment. We just had police on the ground, and we had 2 players that got into physical altercation, clothes were ripped, and one bloody player. And
the Auburn basketball team had at least 2 players get into a fist fight on the airplane that resulted in torn clothing and at least one player being bloodied up to the point that the pilot of their plane called the ATC, declared emergency, asked for an immediate landing, and requested police be on the tarmac waiting for them. So anyway, everything's going great for Bruce Pearl.
Well, you're not gonna go back there and try to interrupt that because they've got serious reach on you. No matter who you are, there's no one in that plane that doesn't have reach.
Keegan texted the show and said, "We are fine. Things are fine. Signed, definitely not Keegan."
Wow. I wonder if this video. I kind of want to see it. I'm not that. I mean, you know, because we know how basketball players fight, and I don't know that you have the room to do that dumb overhand thing to basketball because you're in a combined space. They might actually have to throw some. There's probably just a lot of ripping and tearing of hair.
You know, and one of the things, and I've made this before, when it comes to athletes that make the best fighters, hockey's obviously first.
Yeah, right? I agree.
You're fighting in the Pee Wee leagues.
And it's also, it's part of the game.
It's part of it. Hockey guys are first. I actually think sneaky baseball players are second. Baseball players are second. And here's why. When you watch basketball guys, because these guys are just so damn much bigger than everybody else their entire life, they learn to fight relying on reach. And this is something you learn in boxing. One of the most dangerous things, when you get a guy with reach, if you're somebody with reach, you got to punch to and through. If you get to the point that you start relying on that reach and you're swinging from the outside, right? You're throwing those overhand blows, you're opening yourself up, A, and B, if you come with a big overhand, unless you are like moving into that target, there's not that much force behind a big swinging overhand, right? If you got reach, you want to jab, and straight jab and hook. You want to keep that fighter, that person you're fighting at a distance. Basketball players, because they're so damn much bigger than everybody else for years, they start, if they get into fights, relying on that big reach, and it opens up the door. Well, then you get 2 of these guys that are both swinging wildly, and that's why basketball players go last on the list. They're behind baseball dudes when it comes to athletes that can fight.
I might throw soccer down there last, but But yeah, basketball, it just doesn't look right. So they would be forced to do some inside punching inside of a plane. So I still want to see the video.
That's also true. We talked about, actually, you know what I got to reach out. I just blanked on this. Was the car fighting championship we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's jiu-jitsu.
Car jiu-jitsu.
Car jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
We actually caught an email. Somehow that segment made it to those people. I got an email from a guy that said, would you like to have the official play-by-play voice of car jiu-jitsu on your show? And I said, yeah. We spent like a week or two trying to nail down a time to get him on the show. It just never kind of shaped up and worked out. He's like, hey, let me get through the season, circle back around, I'll come on. So we're going to have that guy on. But I bet you car jiu-jitsu fighting has got to be one of the most challenging forms of combat in the game.
Oh, for sure. But if
these dudes are inside an airplane?
Yeah. I don't know.
Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time for What the X, where I tell Rob what's Xing, and he's going to tell us why. The first thing that's Xing is Catherine Bach.
I saw this earlier, but I did not pay attention to it.
At first, I thought it was another celebrity saying they were leaving the country or something, and I've looked around, and apparently there's one of these lists of hottest back in the day, like in the 70s.
You know what? That makes its rounds every night.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things on the
Daisy
internet
Dukes, man. I mean,
one of my favorite things on the internet right now, and people have figured out this genre and are rolling with it, is young people discovering old people things, right? There's clips going around right now of young, when I say young, I'm talking, kids in their late teens, early 20s, discovering Black Betty. Oh, Black Betty, Ram-a-lam, oh, Black. And like being like, holy crap, this is incredible. Because it is. It's an incredible piece of music.
It also was banned for a time.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
It's a great song. It's a band. As a matter of fact, not only a great song, Lonzo, this is also a little bit of Rob Brown trivia. It was the intro song to my first ever radio show, right? Great song. And there's videos going around of people. One of my favorite things is when young dudes get hit with a picture of Daisy Duke from back in the day, or young Pam Anderson or Carmen Electra, and watch them be like, I get it.
So again, I think that's what it is. So when I clicked on it, it's just a bunch of pictures of Daisy Duke, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So it wasn't a bad click. So back in the day, Dukes of Hazzard, that's why you're watching it, especially if you are a teen or preteen or probably an adult also. The next thing that's Xing is UAP/UFO.
Okay, so we got another round of governmental agencies doing press conferences.
We got confirmation, man. We got confirmation.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
You have a guy who says you have it. All right? Guy who says you have it.
It's credible.
Another round of and they do these hearings, and I am convinced at this point it is because, can we be honest, we have just turned our government into entertainment. That's all it is anymore. We have just turned our government into theater.
Or you could go wag the dog. Don't look at how inept stuff is.
Whatever you want to say. That's still entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
You're right.
We have turned our government into, at every level, we have turned our government into performance theater at this point, and I'm convinced this is a part of that. So yesterday, a dude got in front of Congress and said,
by the way, he has a title and things, so it's not like he's just like,
he's a
hey,
dude.
John, come in here. We saw you posted some UFO footage.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
A dude got in front of a congressional hearing and said that they have recovered organic material. They have recovered, and I quote, biologics from an alien test site. Who is Mr. Elizondo?
I'm guessing you're pronouncing his name wrong. If you said it right, everyone would know him.
I would also like to point out that in the soundbite, he said that he was aware of reporting that we have found biologics, and then it got clipped to when he said we have found biologics, and everybody's losing their mind.
There's no way you've watched all the footage because it's very lengthy.
I
sent you some of it.
But I did go watch the long-form version of the clip you sent, and he said he is aware of reporting that we found. Yes, of course, there's idiots on the internet. We've established this.
I just wanted to mess with you last night.
I had no doubt. I knew exactly why you sent it, and I bit anyway because I'm a giant idiot. All right? I'm a giant idiot.
I mean, that's just some Bush League stuff.
Y'all have a great rest of your Thursday. Don't drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Come back tomorrow. We're going to do another show, and it might be better than this one. We'll see. Y'all have a great rest of your day. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later! Oh, my clip's not playing. We'll just go out. Have a good day, everybody. Didn't my clip play? It's infuriating.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. It was right all along. See? You picked up those. If you watch Men in Black, you know that those are the best reporting on the planet. I mean, you know.
What we had was a weather balloon and some swamp gas from Venus. Weekly World News was right on.
By the way, Upstate Plus, we will extensively go into this and prove the credibility of the witness or the guy. Yeah. Stop with the AEP crap, though. They're UFOs. Stop trying to relabel things government. Well, yeah, Bat Boy, he like lives in Duluth. Everybody knows that. I think he has a moonshine business or something.
All right, guys, got a jet. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. Don't work too hard.
A Yeti is Bigfoot in the snow. Duh.
It's polar Bigfoot.
It's cold. You got to adapt to your environment. You can blend in. So, it's like white rabbits.
Have a good day, everybody. See you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.